Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Thursday, November 9th, 2023, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $ORION NWSF or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got Thursday night football, Carolina Panthers versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears kickoff is going to be here in about 15 to 20 minutes. And I actually think this matchup will be a little bit better than what we see on paper. You know, with the Panthers being 1-7, they got one victory against the Houston Texans, against CJ Stroud, which was a very low scoring game, which we may get here today. But anyone can beat anyone on any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday, or any other special day that we have football. And then for the Chicago Bears, they're 2-7. Both of these teams are trying to, kind of jockey for, positioning in the draft, especially Chicago, since Carolina ended up trading away some of their picks. Where will Chicago go? Currently, right now, they have the second pick and the third pick in the first round. If the season were to end today, the Arizona Cardinals are in first, but things can move around and they have to make a decision. Justin Fields was getting closer to being healthy, but they're going to have to go to Bajent, and we'll have to see what he can end up doing for at least one more week. And with the Bears, if you end up starting over and going with Caleb Williams and like Maserati Marv, that's not going to solve the problems. If anything, they may want to end up going for like an offensive lineman, the best center, the best tackle, and then maybe Maserati Marv, and then build around that. But again, it all depends if they want to be able to have Justin Fields, if he's a part of the future. But if you kept Justin Fields there and then actually drafted the best lineman in the draft, and then a top receiver or maybe another defensive piece, that's going to get the Bears further along than just trading away Justin Fields. But the thing is if you end up trading away Justin Fields, right, and then you get some additional compensation for that, right, and then you end up picking the best offensive lineman, Maserati Marv, and then you use some of the capital from trading away Justin Fields, and then you scoop up somebody, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr. Obviously, it sounds like Shedeur Sanders is going to go back to Colorado for one more year. But if you're able to get like a Drake May, based off the trade with Justin Fields, and then you can also use the other two picks and not trade those away, and then end up getting the best offensive lineman, and maybe I would rather go best offensive lineman and maybe like the best linebacker for leadership on that side of the ball. But even if you went offensive lineman, Maserati Marv, trade away Justin Fields, and then use that pick that you got in return or whatever compensation, and then ended up getting possibly like a Drake May, then you could kind of check off all the boxes: new quarterback, offensive line, and then either the best wide receiver or the best defensive player in the draft. And then with the Carolina Panthers, they got a long ways to go. I mean, everyone wants to write off Bryce Young and say, it's completely over. If Bryce Young had the coaching and the supporting cast as CJ Stroud, I actually think their numbers would be pretty similar. I still think CJ's would be slightly higher, but I still think Bryce Young, if you put him on the Colts, if you put him on the Texans, he would be doing much better than what he had. Like, you just have to understand, if Richardson and CJ Stroud were on the Panthers, do you really think that those two would be playing the same way that they were playing for their original teams if they had to end up playing for Carolina? Richardson would struggle. CJ would struggle. I mean, Adam Thielen, for Christ's sakes, is their best player, on offense. So you don't really get a whole lot out of Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard. Offensive line is garbage. Defense has a lot of holes. I mean, there's a reason why they're the worst team in football, or one of the worst teams in the NFL. Even the Cardinals have more talent than the Carolina Panthers. So you have to remember, you got to get probably a new coach, get rid of Reich, build the whole offensive line, start over. You have some pieces at running back and wide receiver, but he needs better, if he wants to be able to succeed there. And also on defense, they're going to need like a Luke Kuechly leader on that side of the ball. And once these pieces start coming in, I think his numbers will actually be very similar. Richardson will get more rushing touchdowns, and he has a Cam Newton frame. He's going to be fine. He's got a really good attitude. The only thing that's going to hold him back is injuries and running the football a little bit too much. That might derail his career. CJ's got the best situation because obviously you got, D'Amico Ryans, you got all these running backs, wide receivers, offensive line, defense. They had more talent there to be able to come out swinging out of the gates. and then CJ is overachieved. Now, if I had my choice, I still would be going down the pecking order in CJ Stroud 1, AR, Richardson 2, Bryce Young 3. But don't even, blink of an eye, think for a second that if Bryce ended up, switching places with CJ, right, would we be talking more about Bryce than CJ? More than likely, because like I said, if Bryce Young had the weapons, of Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Will Anderson and all these other pieces there, we would be talking more about Bryce like we are talking about CJ. Everyone thinks that CJ is light years ahead of Young, and obviously it's easy to say that, when you see the Texans and the way that they've been playing and then the way that Bryce Young has been playing here. But remember, even with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first couple years, they were doubting Trevor Lawrence. And I already knew that Trevor was going to pan out. I just knew that they had to have the right coach and the right supporting cast. Exit Urban Meyer, enter in Dougie P, bringing in guys like Christian Kirk, right? ETN was a good fit with Trevor Lawrence. And even Trevor Lawrence, with his decorated career in junior high, high school, and college, barely losing anything, it still took him getting help. He wasn't good enough to turn the program around. The Jacksonville Jaguars were the worst team in football for 2 years, and it didn't really look like they were going to get to the playoffs or a wild card or get any better within the next 5 years. But then when you make a coaching change, someone that has Super Bowl experience in Dougie P, bringing in over quality pieces, like Christian Kirk, and then building on that defense. And then now, just a couple years later, the Jacksonville Jaguars are the best team in the AFC South, and they look like they're going to be the best team in the AFC South for a few years. Now, we already know that the Indianapolis Colts with AR, if they can stay healthy, they will challenge. The Houston Texans with CJ, another good draft, they will challenge Jacksonville, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But again, if you don't have the right coaching, the right supporting cast, it's going to take longer, for teams to be able to get better. And Carolina's team right now is the worst team in football. I mean, like I said, if you put CJ Stroud and some of these other guys and you put them in a different role, you have to understand you're not going to get the same results just because, Bryce doesn't look very good. But again, if you put Bryce Young on the Cardinals, I think that you would be getting even better numbers than you would be getting here. How much better? Slightly, not a whole lot, but I still think that the talent pool is pretty good for those three quarterbacks. But I still feel CJ and AR are naturally gifted a little bit more than Bryce. But again, for all the people that are saying, well, they probably should have took CJ Stroud number one, that's fine. But it's not like CJ Stroud's going to be putting up the same type of stats that he's doing now over there in Carolina. And then all of a sudden, magically, Carolina turns into an 8 or 9 win team or a playoff team. The touchdown to interception ratio would be much better for Bryce if he was on the Texans. But again, you have to be able to build your team at your right pace. And let's give Bryce Young at least 3 years. This year, let's see what happens in year 2 and year 3. And then by year 3, if we're not seeing the improvement in Richardson or Bryce Young, then they're going to get benched, and then they're going to have to end up moving on and going somewhere else. Really, the only person that we feel 100% that's not going to get benched is CJ Stroud. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback moving forward. For the other two, they're going to have to work really, really hard to be able to get to that point. And Richardson is closer, obviously, to CJ Stroud. But again, the injuries and that big body frame kind of concern me. So we'll have to wait and see. But I know on paper this game looks like shit, 1-7 versus 2-7. But I actually think that the game will be a little bit better than people anticipate. At least we're hoping so. And I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Megan in the building, Daniel in the building. What's good? Sarah in the building, David in the building. Let's get to 100 in donuts. Let's do it. Your boy's got a lot of bills. You know that. Finley in the building. What's good? Let's go, baby. Caleb in the building. What's good? Best running backs per category. Hard to tackle, power running, receiving, most versatile. Well, I mean, I'd have to go and look at a comparison list. I have to find all the running backs, and get a list of every guy, break down, film and kind of go through it. I can't just off the top of my head be like, oh, this guy's the hardest to tackle. I mean, we don't got guys like Barry Sanders playing in the league anymore, for being hardest to tackle. Power running. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I do like David Montgomery. You've seen the impact that Montgomery has had when he's been in the lineup and when he hasn't been in the lineup. So, and with the running backs year in and year out, you're not going to have the same guys. Like in fantasy, I haven't finished lower than third in any league I've ever done in my entire life, even money leagues that are 50 to 150 buy-in. So, like, for example, last year, I had 3 of the top 4 guys at running back, right? And I drafted all of them, right? I had Nick Chubb, right? I had Josh Jacobs, and I had Saquon Barkley. Now, if you look at the list this year, those 3 guys are nowhere near where they were the year before. So with running backs, injuries are always going to happen. And just because a guy was really, really good the year before does not guarantee that he's going to be good again, like Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's very injury prone. I rolled the dice last year. I had a feeling that if he stayed healthy, maybe the Giants could make a wild card and maybe Daniel Jones would play better. They both did. They made the playoffs. But then if you look at the team this year, Saquon is still having those lingering injuries and whatnot. So it's going to be modified and it's going to change, week in and week out. But as far as like, if I was going to choose one running back, to be able to build around, it would be hard for me to go against Christian McCaffrey. Run CMC can run, he can catch, he's tough. Yeah, he's going to have injuries from time to time as well. Eckler is a machine too. It kind of just depends, if you're looking for like a PPR guy, a guy that can actually get receptions, or if you're just looking for a guy that's going to run over people, kind of like a David Montgomery. So, but for me to be able to come up with a full list, I would have to actually break down the film and kind of go and look to see where the numbers are at this year, because my rankings from last year and this year would be completely different. So let's go, baby. Panthers, Bears, baby. Let's go. And I know a lot of people, will just be like, I don't really care about the matchup, this and that. But the thing is that if you stop caring about matchups, then don't be bitching. Once we end up, in a blink of an eye, we're at Thanksgiving. Another blink of an eye, it's Christmas. And then another blink of an eye, we're in the NFC, AFC championship game. And then all of a sudden the season's over. And then everyone's bitching and moaning about the draft and how we have to wait for 7 or 8 months for football again. That's why you want to make sure you take advantage of matchups, even when on paper they don't look that well. I love evaluating talent and watching tape. And there's not a whole lot going on. I memean, there's NBA, there's NHL. I'm going to be watching the Kraken in about 45 minutes going against the Colorado Avalanche, and I know they're going to lose that matchup as well. But, I like being able to evaluate the talent, and there's always going to be new guys that emerge out of nowhere. Like if anyone would have told you that Puka was going to be one of like the top 10 receivers this year, it's a complete lie. If anyone knew that Adam Thielen was going to be as good in fantasy as he was this year, getting 10 to 15 targets pretty much every game, more people would have drafted him, including myself. So, evaluation of talent is going to change from week to week, month to month, and year over year. Big facts. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I already knew Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't going to pan out necessarily completely, because if you look at that roster, it was kind of a system back, and of course the Chiefs, that was the perfect team for him to go to there, but he kind of has these lingering injuries, and he's not really a 3-down back. He's an RB2. And if you already feel like a guy is an RB2 and he gets thrown into RB1 status, a lot of times they can't cut it, and a lot of times when you look at certain people, their body size, it's like Gibbs. Gibbs could end up being an RB1 for Montgomery for maybe a short period of time, but you're not going to be able to sustain greatness out of Gibbs, have him being the 3-down back when he looks like he weighs 180 wet. It's like you got to make sure you got a little bit of build on you, and that's why David Montgomery has been so good for the Lions, and obviously it's hurt Chicago not having a player like that. When Justin Fields had Montgomery, there was always a threat to hand the ball off. So when they ran the RPO and then Justin Fields turned into a top 10 fantasy star, it was that threat, knowing that Montgomery could score 2 touchdowns and get 100. But what happens if he pulls the ball late and then runs for 60 for a touchdown? Now Justin Fields doesn't have that, let alone he can't even stay on the field himself. And, no disrespect to Khalil Herbert and the rest of the guys that they have on the roster, Deontay Foreman and whatnot, but they're not the same. Roshan Johnson, those guys aren't as dynamic as a David Montgomery. So we'll see how things go. But that's kind of my mindset. And you knew Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Jay Jetta, they were running that squad, but I never really thought that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to pan out, honestly. I thought that was a very tough kind of order, because if, you had Eric Bieniemy and you knew that he was going to put you in the best position, but it shows you have to have a dog mentality. And if you don't have a dog mentality like Isaiah Pacheco, even though he's undersized, but he's a lot stronger and faster than he looks. So even though he might be himself an RB2 like Jerick McKinnon, Pacheco is a dog and he can run over guys. And you didn't really get that out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. When Clyde Edwards-Helaire would get the ball, he was more of a smooth back. and he kind of avoided contact. Pacheco looks at the guy in his eyes and says, I'm going to run you over. You don't get that out of guys that are big, let alone guys that are undersized. So sometimes you have to have the certain personality to be a dog, and you might be able to get away with it in college at LSU and one of the best teams in college football history with Burrow, Jay Jetta, and Jamar Chase, right? But if you're not a guy that wants contact, eventually you're going to fold, and eventually you're going to turn into an RB2, RB3, maybe be on the bench, and eventually get cut. So, every running back, that's why I watch so much film on high school and college, because you got to be able to look at the gray area, not just look at the team and the win-loss record and obviously how much they're beating teams by. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a great, college career, especially in that last part, with LSU. But sometimes you just get a gauge. It's like, I'm a Duck fan, right? I knew LaMichael James and DeAnthony Thomas were two of the most electric players that Oregon Duck football history has ever had and ever will have. But I knew that they were both too undersized, that even though that LaMichael could be up for La Heisman and DeAnthony Thomas was the Black Mamba, and he was like, maybe I was hoping he would be like Tyreek Hill before Tyreek Hill, but sometimes, if your body size or you don't have it all there mentally, some guys are going to fold. And unfortunately, DeAnthony wasn't good enough, let alone LaMichael James. But I knew going in not to be a bandwagon homer. So, this is a man's game. We're not playing a high school ball. This isn't varsity versus freshman or JV. Once you go from college to the NFL, everyone is faster, bigger, stronger. And even if you're fast and can run a 4.2 or 4.3 at a running back position or wide receiver, that doesn't mean that a big 350, 360-pound defensive lineman or offensive lineman can't keep up with you for 3 to 4 seconds. Now, once you get to the second level and you've been running with the football for 4 or 5 seconds, then those fast players are gone. But don't for a second think that these big boys, they might be a little chubby. Some of them might be a little overweight, but they can move. And especially, the agility that these NFL players have, you might be able to get away with it in college, but you ain't going to get away with it, obviously, on the NFL level. Big facts. Let's go, baby. Said Nick Nurse teams always overachieve. David Goldstein, Sixers in the building. You guys are actually playing pretty well this season. I looked at the standings in the win-loss column. Good for you, bro. I'm happy that you guys are doing well. Bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Let me know what you want to do for photos. If you want some Embiid or if there's someone specific that you want, let me know. I got a chance to catch the Blazer game in overtime last night that we lost. Tough. Obviously Shaden Sharp fouling out was tough, but I did get to go to AEW Dynamite, and I got to see a little bit of a Ring of Honor as well. Me and Preston snuck down to the 6th row at one point in the show. So we definitely had a good time last night, and that's why there was no stream yesterday, since I was at Moda Center and I was watching AEW. I got to see MJF. I got to be able to see Sting in his last appearance in Oregon. Got to be able to see Samoa Joe and Keith Lee. It was pretty cool, man. I didn't get to see Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks, wrestle, or Daniel Bryan or Jericho, which was unfortunate. But hopefully the next time around that they come through, that I'll be able to, take advantage of some of those guys as well. Yeah, and obviously Saints fans love your boy. They love me because I just keep it 100. And, the big difference with the Saints compared to the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, shotgun set, Bajent, screen pass, DJ Moore, go, baby, go, DJ, against your former team. First down, Bears. But I feel that, with the Saints, they had problems with their head coach. With Dennis Allen, he's a defensive coordinator, not a head coach, not a leader. Carmichael's a terrible play caller. Saints fans will agree. Offensive line was been absolutely terrible. We were 3-1, and it looked like you guys were giving us the playoffs, and I didn't want it. And then we went on a skid. You guys finally got AK, 41 Alvin Kamara back in the lineup after the suspension. And in the last month, you guys finally realized, hey, maybe we should use Taysom Hill more often, not just in the red zone, but give him chances to run, throw, and catch. And you guys have been awesome. And the Saints, what happened to my hands? Big drop there by the Bears. But the Saints are going to win the NFC South. And the thing that has to come down to you, Caleb, is just realizing that the Bucks, Panthers, and Falcons are dog shit, and you're going to end up winning the division, and you're going to run away with it. So, and you guys, if you guys keep going with Taysom heavy, as well as Alvin Kamara, the defense is always top 10. A lot of times they play top 5. You guys can be like a team like Seattle that might be able to upset someone in the playoffs. Big facts. 2nd down and 10. Let's go, baby. But I love a lot of the players on the Saints, even though I'm a Bucs fan. I give mad love and respect to the Panthers, Falcons, and Saints. And obviously, me being a Buck, fan and an NFL streamer, most people would be like, "There's just no way that you can show that much love towards the number one rival." It's like if I was a Eagle streamer and my number one fan base is Cowboy fans, it would just be crazy. But that's what it is for me. And I actually have more fans from the Saints fan base that support me than Buck fans. So that means a lot. I would rather have more Saints fans than Bucks fans because that means that, they realize that I'm not biased and I just, call it how I see it and I keep it 100. 3rd down and 6. Nope. 3rd down and 8. Tipped. Oh, incomplete. Let me know what you want to see for photos and I got you, brother. 2 doll hairs, 98 to go to hit the first initial goal. Yeah. Yeah, but you got to understand it's going to take time. I mean, even the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, who's a better quarterback, than Bryce Young, that was supposed to be like the most, incredible talent coming out of college since Andrew Luck or like a John Elway. You heard all the hype for Trevor Lawrence, but even with that being said, it shows you got to have more than just a quarterback and a running back with ETN. You got to be able to have a head coach that people respect. You got to be able to have good coordinators. You got to have an O-line. You got to have a defense. And, the Jags already kind of had a defense before Lawrence came there. With the pieces that you have, it's not like you got Luke Kuechly out there. You don't have Christian McCaffrey anymore. So, I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time. So let him know, David. People have been slacking, dude. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm the most underrated, underappreciated streamer on YouTube, as far as like sports and wrestling. For the people that are in the room, just the little things. If you want me to be able to grow and you want to be able to, have us expand the Northwest Sports Fanatics and the Fanatic family where I can get to a point where I can be giving away jerseys and things like that, we can't have half-ass effort. We need to be able to have people that are going to show up, people that are going to show out, people that are going to comment, donate, share, and support through and through. Let them know, Sometimes it even baffles me, because I already know I'm one of the best in the world at what I do, but I don't get treated like it. So I appreciate you very much letting people know. Let them know, baby. Let's go, baby. But I know eventually I'm going to have my due, so. All right, Thielen in motion. Bryce Young. And complete. I appreciate you. Matt in the building. What's good? Jeremiah Trotter, a great name. Let's go. Montez Sweat, a building block for the Bears. That's why they made that move. So that way, that would be one less piece on defense that they would have to use on the draft. So that way they may be linking towards quarterback, offensive lineman, or possibly offensive lineman and wide receiver. Go Bryce. There we go. I mean, I think one thing also too, people love criticizing short quarterbacks. People love to be able to hate on Russell Wilson, Bryce Young, and Drew Brees. It's like, oh, not so much Drew Brees until it got kind of towards the end of his career when people were criticizing him and saying he had a noodle arm and whatnot, which to a certain degree he did. But, obviously we have always Drew Brees as a legend and the best short quarterback of all time. But it's like anytime you get a shorter quarterback, it's always going to be harder to see over the defense. And then you got to hope that guy's athletic and he's got really good accuracy. Because if you already don't have the height, you better have the speed. If you don't have the speed and you can't scramble, you better have a good completion percentage and good eyes. And if you don't have that, then you're going to be on the bench really, really quick. 1st down and 10. See what Bryce can move the chains. Screen pass. Adam Thielen. No blockers there for him. And then for the Jeremiah Trotter, what team do you want me to have the photo for? I mean, I can do Jeremiah Trotter in college. What team do you want? I would assume Eagles. But, I mean, sometimes, people like the college stuff or the throwback stuff too. So, Oh my God. Look at dude. You got to go back and look at the tape. I mean, when you look at Bryce, he looks under 6 foot. Breeze and Russell Wilson look like they're 6 foot, 6'1" at the most. So even if someone is 6'3", but when you look at bigger quarterbacks that typically are 6'4" to 6'7", or 6'3" to 6'7", you typically can see, that size out there. But you also don't want a quarterback that is really, really tall, but that can't move like Brock Osweiler. And then you're getting a guy that, okay, we're going for the height, but they have no accuracy and no mobility. So you got to be able to find that right balance, unless you have one of the best offensive lines in the game, like a Tom Brady, that, where he wasn't the fastest guy, but he had good release and he didn't hang on to the football long and he was very accurate. So even though he wasn't really good out of the play action in the bootleg, if he needed to be able to get out of the pocket, he was crafty enough to do that. First down, Panthers. Let's go. Sarah with a 4. Appreciate you. And hopefully we'll get some more goats to come through. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $4 holla. And obviously the more people that show up, the more people that donate. And then the more people that donate, more others will donate. So it's a very simple thing. It's like a snowball effect. If you don't get your first dono until like an hour or 2 hours in, then you got to pray that you have one of the legends or the goats to come in to save you with like a $50 or $100 dono. So appreciate the two of you so far, and hopefully that'll continue for the rest of the night. First down and 10. Panthers moving the ball. Shotgun set. Handoff. Chuba Hubbard. Short gain. I'm trying to load on some of these Jeremiah Trotters here real quick.
The best game of the season was 40-20 in Washington on Thursday night. And we happen to do that to people. Bring out the best in those Chicago Bears. They did great that night. I was like, what's going on? Exactly. I got to figure it out. Yeah, they looked like they were dead in the water, and all of a sudden they went 40-20.
Sarah with the tour.
7. Rolling left. Rolling.
Oh, over his head. Incomplete.
That's Terrace Marshall, Jr. He's been around. Third year out of LSU. Can't complete it. They're on the third down coming up. This is who I think they want to become. More of a play action team. Look at all the orange jerseys up near the line of scrimmage. This helps the offensive line. It helps Bryce Young.
Shout out with Cyberpunk helping out on the Twitter side. Hopefully he'll be able to drop in and show some love. Sarah with another tour. Appreciate you. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $2 holla. And sometimes you can't wait for the goats to come in and drop that big 20, 30, 40, 50, and $100 dono. Sometimes you got to start it off yourself, even if it's something small. You start off with something small, then that'll maybe get the next person going instead of just waiting for someone else to drop the hammer. Big facts. That's been a big problem with the channel this year. I think everyone else waiting for someone else to get it started. And we're too talented here and we're too slept on, to be sitting at mediocrity, especially with, what we got going on here on the channel with all the hard work and the effort and the film study, grinding every day, doing reaction videos, which I get no compensation for, and then streaming pretty much every day. I think I've had 2 days off in 4 months. I mean, that's a very hectic schedule if you ask me. And most streamers don't put in that much kind of effort. So hopefully the effort that I put in can get matched with the support on the opposite end one day. Panthers with the punt. Appreciate you. Good special teams there. All right, try to get some Trotter photos up here. And remember, we're not at 20 subs. We're not at 200. We're not even at 2,000. We're over 20,000 subscribers. But I just have this weird vibe, why don't we get treated like it? It's like, why do we get treated like a stepchild? I don't understand why we get treated this way. But again, with hard work, eventually, we're going to get our day and we're going to get our due. But it all starts with the people that are in the room. Big facts.
Your face is really bad. That's the best thought I've ever had. Shitty's there. Shitty's there.
Today, let's paint. Right now, get America's most trusted paint brand at any low price. There.
Jim Johnson, baby. Appreciate you. And then what were you wanting? You wanted some. Let me go here.
me on in the subway after today.
Adam Wainwright. All right.
When we said we make the skies blue, some said keep dreaming. So we did, lowering emissions on the road to zero. Now, we're working on an EV that's amazing. And someday, we'll turn your old Honda into brand new. Because we are a company of dreamers, setting out to be carbon neutral by 2050. So, no matter where we go, we're going to keep dreaming.
Appreciate that.
Here, and Dick's Sporting Goods has all the best gifts for everyone on your list. The hottest footwear from Jordan and Nike, Hoka, On, Adidas, Crocs, and the latest apparel from all the best brands. Plus, must-have.
Appreciate you. Yeah, I talked to my dad. He had a full knee replacement done on Monday. So he's definitely, on the medication and, trying to go through that rehab process. He's gone through, 6, 7, 8 different surgeries in his life. A lot of them pretty major and whatnot. So I think that he'll be all right. And, I'll end up seeing him on Thanksgiving and whatnot. He said it was really hard to sleep for the first couple nights, even with the pain meds with like Percocet and everything like the doctors and Vicodin and whatnot that the doctors gave. I think he has to have like 2 every 3 hours and still in a lot of pain. But he said that he slept pretty good the last 2 nights. And, I told him, make sure you're watching the Oregon game against the Trojans, 7:30 on Saturday. So he's going to watch and I'll probably end up hitting him up and make sure that he's doing well. All right, we got the Bears down on the 6-inch yard line. Little Bears tush push. $8. Let's get to a hundo.
The turnover margin, special teams, field position will go a long way in deciding who wins it. How big he handles this, I know the tons of experience. They need to get a first down.
In this matchup, I would assume that the Bears will win barely. Yeah, if I was a betting man, I think Bajan is actually a lot better than people give him credit for. I mean, he threw some picks against the Saints, but he can at least move the football down the field. There's a chance that he throws a pick six or has a fumble or throws a couple interceptions, but he can also throw touchdown passes too. So, it's going to have to be a lot of running, on their end to open up the passing game. And the same thing for the Panthers. I mean, eventually, if you want Adam Thielen to get in the end zone, you're going to have to at least run the ball with Sanders and Chuba Hubbard a little to be able to open it up. You just can't run. I guess you can. I guess you could run like 15 screen passes, to DJ Moore and 15 screen passes to Adam Thielen for each quarterback. But eventually the defenses, even if they're slow and they're not as talented as other teams, they're going to figure it out. So you're going to have to be able to, find a way to get the dub. So, but I would assume that the Bears will end up winning. Hopefully we get both teams into the 20s, but that might not be possible. I don't know. Maybe 2017 Bears, something like that. Oh, I've been doing this for a long time, man. I've been grinding for 11 years. This is my 7th year on YouTube, and I predicted it would take me 10 years to go full time, and it did. It took me 10 years. So technically, I'm in year 7 on YouTube. I still got 3 more years, but I have been recording on other platforms, and I have been streaming. So this will be year 11 for me. Long time. I got over 1,900 live streams and reaction videos just since 2017. So, I'm streaming literally pretty much every day, sometimes multiple streams and multiple videos in a day. Yeah, but also, too, this isn't Justin Fields. This is Bajan. So, even though you guys are with the Cardinals as far as like the worst teams in football, it's not like the Bears are that much better. They got a few guys, normally if Khalil Herbert's healthy and Foreman and Roshan Johnson, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, they just have a few players slightly better than the guys that you have. Now, if you had Adam Thielen and then a few others, then, you wouldn't be sitting at 1 win right now. You'd be sitting at least at 2 or 3. But again, it's a process. No Christian McCaffrey, no Luke Kuechly. So you got to remember, even certain pieces like that, how many more wins would you get if those 2 guys were on the roster right now? Or even if it was just Christian McCaffrey. Kuechly's gone, but if you had Christian McCaffrey still, how many wins would you have at this point? You'd have a hell of a lot more than 1. I would assume that you'd probably have 3 or 4 because there would still be games that you would lose, but there would be a few games that he would single-handedly win for you too. 2-7 all time against the Bears. Cyberpunk, he says, you know what? I got to be able to help out my boy. He said for O-Dog, having to watch bad football. $98 dono. That's my boy. Appreciate you. You know, we need more Cyberpunks. You know, we used to have like 10 of them last year. Now we have, I don't know, you know, maybe 5, 6, 7, but they don't show up that often. So, you know, some are working hard, like, you know, Cyberpunk and Shep. But for the others, go, baby. Go, Panthers, go. Yeah, baby, go, go. Touchdown, Panthers. But is there a flag? Don, probably. $79 yards. That was a play. I'm telling you, like I said, for all the people that thought the game was going to be absolutely terrible, boring, you know, because it's a 1-win team and a 2-win team. A lot of times, you know, if you're negative like that, you think, oh, it's going to get negative results. But I like to be able to see the best in the teams, even if the Cardinals and Bears and Panthers or whoever's at the bottom, you're still going to be able. It's NFL. It's still going to be more exciting than a lot of the NBA games, a lot of the NHL games, and a lot of the MLB games. Just like that. Who would have thought that would have happened? Extra point is up, and it's good. 7-0 Panthers. Finley's like, we suck. We're never going to win. And then just as that happened, I try to give you a glimmer of hope, and then the sports gods are like, let me shoot down a little special teams touchdown for Finley. And there you go. There it is. Touchdown, Panthers. And that's what makes it cool. You know, you never know when you're going to get a punt return, kick return for a touchdown, a pick six, or a fumble for a touchdown. And when you get those plays to happen, that's, you know, one less touchdown that the offense has to get. And that's one step closer to the Panthers getting the dub and both teams getting to 20 points. I love it. There we go. There we go. Appreciate you, Odin son. And I appreciate you, Cyberpunk.
It means a lot to veterans. It makes the veterans feel as if we are truly integrated. All around, just so much to learn. It really opened my eyes up to that world. This work is all part of DraftKings Service, a program designed to create
Cyberpunk, $98 dono. It'd be really nice if we could get, you know, a few more, you know, OGs, you know, to be able to, you know, do that. But of course, it's going to take, you know, what kind of job you have. And if you really love the channel and love me and support me in my dreams, you know, and you appreciate all the hard work that we put in. Not everyone financially is going to be able to do it, but there are people that make a choice to either do it or not do it, to show up or not show up. And I really do appreciate Cyberpunk for everything that he does for the channel. Very, very consistent. And, you know, hopefully we can get the heavy hitters up from 1 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 8, 8 to 10, because we had about 10 last year. You know, we don't have that anymore. So I'm hoping that we can get back up to that point because that'll help us grow. Big facts. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $98 dono. Your boys got bills. You know, things aren't cheap. You know, things cost a lot of money. And for me to be able to continue to do this full time, you know, I need to at least be able to pay the basic things like to live, you know, to be able to eat, to be able to, you know, pay for the internet bill, pay for my cell phone bill. I mean, I literally don't buy anything for myself. I haven't been able to buy anything for myself all year. You know, essentially I'm working for free all year. So, you know, anytime we can get love and appreciation like that, it means a lot. Thank you so much. He's the best. Plus, I already know how it goes on YouTube. You know, there's a lot of sheep and a lot of people that are followers that are not leaders, you know, and they just go where the subs are. They go where, you know, how many people are in the room, regardless if they have talent or not, you know, and eventually people will learn that this isn't a fad. This isn't something that's temporary. You know, we're not trying to be entertainers and fake like Stephen A. You know, we actually have some good knowledge to provide on top of good entertainment. Big facts. 7-0 Panthers. Let's go. I know Julio with the silver slugger. I love it.
He starts 2 for 5 at 22 yards.
I was about to say I got like all kinds of things coming up here in the next couple days too. So that'll definitely help. I was like, you got to be able to pay the internet bill, with the gig service and, just the basic necessities. So Bagent, screen pass, DJ Moore. There we go. First down, Bears. Really, any extra money I usually end up getting will go back to the fans, or I'll get something for Paisley. So, I mean, would it be cool that I could buy, a new jersey or some new shoes? Yeah, of course. But, I'd rather make sure that Paisley's okay, or the people that are important to me on the channel, as long as I'm able to at least survive, that's really what it's about. But I would like to be able to thrive and not just survive. Big facts. Let's go, baby. 7-0 Panthers. Handoff. Gain of about 4 or 5 there. Deontay Foreman is a rumbling and bumbling back. Oh, you don't want to do that. Manoa's garbage. Manoa was like a Cy Young candidate like 2 years ago, and then they sent him down to like single A, double A, triple A. The guy couldn't pitch over the mound worth anything. So if he turns his career around back to the old Manoa, then yeah, that would be good. But if it's Manoa from last year, that's a hell no. Manoa was terrible. I don't know if you watched him last year, but he was not good. I mean, especially to go from a Cy Young candidate to you're down in like double A, triple A, that's not good. I mean, it's one thing if he was just off and he was a starter, but for them to send him down to like double A, triple A, that's a warning sign. That would be like, stay away. In my opinion. I mean, if it's just someone that had an off year and they never got sent down, then that's one thing, but they sent him down like multiple times. That's not good. First down, Bears. First punt TD since 2017, and we're here for it. I'm here for it. He's like, you haven't had good special teams play since He Hate Me from the XFL. It's been a minute. But Foreman might be a power back, and they got Khalil Herbert, who's now RB1 that has been thrusted there, even though he's an RB2. But the Bears, when you notice when they were good, David Montgomery is one of the most underrated backs in the NFL, and you've seen the impact that he had on the Bears when he was there. And now that he's not, you see how bad they miss him and how much Detroit improved. Imagine if they only had Gibbs. They'd be fucked. Like, it's cool that they have him, but Gibbs is not going to be able to maintain RB1 status for his whole career. He's too small, and he's a change of pace back. If you put a guy like Gibbs there, eventually he's going to get hurt. Like he'll be able to have a few games where he gets you 15, 20, 25 fantasy points, but eventually that body will break down. Big facts. BJ going deep. Oh, one-handed, incomplete. And I would put money on it that DJ Moore scores tonight. Once, I'm not sure twice. If Fields was playing, I would say maybe 2 times. Maybe not 3 like we had a couple weeks back when Fields was healthy. But I think Cole Kmet and DJ Moore, if there's going to be 2 guys that are going to score receiving, those will be the guys. 106. Let's get to 2. Your boys got bills. Ziply internet, cell phone bill, all that. Got to get Paisley a new bone and new rope. That shit ain't cheap. And, even though that the matchup is, obviously a 1-win team versus a 2-win team, I don't mind this matchup. I appreciate the NFL for what it is, and that's why I think I'm able to come up with a lot of ESP and predictions that come true, because I don't look at a matchup and say, fuck this. Like, I always try to see the best in people and see the best in matchups, and like I said, if you do me wrong and you do me dirty, then that's fine. Obviously I'll move on, but it's like with these football squads, I know sometimes, like Finley, he's like, man, my team is doing me dirty here. But remember, sometimes you got to go 1 step backwards to go 10 steps forward. Big facts. 4th down and 7. Field goal attempt is up. Santos. And it's good. 7-3 Panthers. Here we go. It's not like it's 0-0 in the 3rd quarter, Flag on the play.
It was 4th down and 7.
Oh, false start. Add or remove one rule in the NFL. I wouldn't get rid of the tush push or the brotherly shove, because the thing is like eventually people are going to bitch and moan and complain. But if you have one of the best offensive lines in football, do it. You know, I mean, I know people don't like it when it happens to them and stuff, but then that would give you motivation to build up your O-line so you can do it as well. And even shitty, teams that have shitty O-line try. But the reason why Philadelphia is so successful is because they have a top 5 line. It makes it work. Kick is up. And that one is good. 7-3. This time for real. I'm trying to think if there's any rules that I would want. I think one rule that I would want, the tush push is annoying, right? But you know what I'm saying? But again, if your team is doing it and and it's helping you win, like I said, if everyone could do it, they would, but they can't because their offensive lines aren't good enough. And we've had the tush push, the brotherly shove get stopped once, from a touchdown with Chase Young when he was on Washington before he got traded to the Niners. So it's like, and how good was that defensive line before they broke that defensive line up with Montez Sweat and Chase Young? It was one of the best defensive lines in football with Washington. Maybe their linebackers and secondary weren't good, but that D line was one of the best. So I think if I was going to have a rule, I would say I would want a rule that would implement replay at any point in the game. If there's any type of controversial play, something going on with pass interference, it doesn't matter if it's within 2 minutes or outside of the 2 minutes, in the third quarter or fourth quarter, if there is a controversial play, I feel that the teams have a right to be able to replay it, to make sure that they got it right, which obviously wouldn't be good for people that are gambling or betting, or, if they have mafia ties or gambling ties, because we always know that there's going to be a conspiracy theory with referees calling 50-50 plays, PI or no PI, holding, no holding, touchdown, no touchdown, right? There's always going to be something that sways a game based off a single call, right? So if it was me, I would like to be able to have replay. And obviously you can't do it where it slows the game down, where we're having NFL games run 4 hours long. But in crucial plays, I think that it should be able to be determined where that needs to be reviewed. That's one thing that I think would help. And I think fans and players would appreciate it. Bettors, refs, they wouldn't appreciate it. But as far as us fans, I think that's what I would do. But tush push is annoying, but again, it gives you, that kind of probability. And, if you don't like it, then you got to create it yourself. But not very many people have an offensive line good enough to make it happen. So. Yeah. And I'm a Bucs fan through and through. And guess who I have on my fantasy team? Taysom Hill. I picked him up, and check this out. In my lineup, right? I'm in first place. I'm playing against another person that's in first place, right? And I have Patrick Mahomes as my quarterback. I don't believe in him, right? Because he hasn't been very good this year. I also picked up Sam Howell, Kyler Murray, and Joshua Dobbs. And you won't believe who I'm starting probably this weekend. I'm going to go Joshua Dobbs. And I know Saints defense is going to be tough, but I'm probably going to start him even over Kyler Murray because it's his first game back. Mahomes is on a bye. Sam Howell's going to Seattle. So I would assume that he'll get 15 to 17 points. But if I start Dobbs on New Orleans, even if New Orleans defense holds him, he's a very good runner. He might be able to throw 2 touchdown passes, throw maybe 1 pick, and maybe run 1 in. And if that happens, I can get 20 to 25 points out of Dobbs. My tight end is Mark Andrews and Sam Laporta. My flex is either Mike Evans, Sam Laporta, Najee Harris. All can get me 12 points, right? But guess who I'm starting at my flex? Taysom Hill. I'm putting Taysom Hill in because I understand that the Saints are implementing him. In the first month of the season, 0.4, 8 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Then they decided, you know what? Taysom is amazing. He's a Swiss Army knife. We need to use him running, throwing, catching. Last month, 4 games that Taysom Hill has put up numbers. 12.26, 16.8, 22.46, 20.62. So if I get numbers like that, that is why I'm going to take a chance and roll the dice. And I'm going to have Joshua Dobbs quarterbacking against the Saints this weekend over Kyler Murray and Sam Howell. Mahomes has got a bye. Going long, going deep. Oh! And I got Taysom Hill. And of course, I could go safe, right? I can be safe. And at flex, I could do Sam Laporta. Easy, 10 to 12 points. Najee Harris, 10 to 15 points. Mike Evans, 10 to 15 points. But if Evans has a bad game, it might be 7 or 8. If Laporta has a bad game, 7 to 9. Najee has a bad game, maybe 5 points. But the way that Taysom Hill has been playing, if he has a bad game, it might be like 9. But if he hits, I might be able to get 20 to 25 out of him. So sometimes you got to roll the dice and take a risk. And I think Dobbs and Taysom Hill give me the best shot to get 20 points or more from the flex and the quarterback. Now, could Kyler get over 20? Could Sam Howell get over 20? Of course. You know what I mean? But I also look at games on the road and at home, and Sam Howell typically gets about 17 on the road, but when he plays at home, he usually goes up. Same thing with Laporta. You know, Laporta has bigger numbers where he can get you 11 to 20 points at home as a tight end, but on the road, it's more 7 to 11 points. So that's kind of a theme. So if you look at fantasy, you have to look at trends. So if a guy is better at home, why are you taking a risk on the road? You know, and you have to understand that they might underachieve. So I'm always looking at those type of numbers. But I love me some Taysom Hill, and he's a 1 of 1. There's no one else like him in the league. And first down, Panthers. And that's why the Saints are going to win the NFC South, because of 2 men, AK-41, Alvin Kamara, and Taysom Hill. And honestly, you know, Taysom Hill is probably better than Carr, you know, but you already paid all that money for Carr to be the QB. So that way when Taysom goes in, right, they don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to run it? Is he going to throw it? Is he going to catch it? He literally is the only guy in the NFL, and that is fantasy gold. You know, I had Justin Fields last year when he went on that run when he was getting 20, 30, 45 points. End of the first quarter, 7-3 Panthers. And I'm looking for those, you know, super, like, you know, top-notch weapons that people are sleeping on. And I feel that if Reflect would have worked the wire and he picked up Dobbs and he picked up Taysom Hill instead of me, right? That maybe he would beat me this week. And I still think that he can beat me. But just the simple fact that I got Dobbs, and I have never rostered 4 quarterbacks in fantasy ever. But I can't trust Patrick Mahomes. And honestly, I'm telling you this right now. He's ranked 3rd, right? But his last 4 games, 17, which is okay, kind of shitty for Mahomes. 34, that was against the Chargers. That's Mahomes, right? But the last 2 games, 5 and 15. If I want to win fantasy championships, I can't have 5 and 15 out of Patrick Mahomes, who's supposed to be the best quarterback in the NFL. That wide receiving core, I can't trust him. So with that being said, I picked up Kyler 2 weeks in advance, right? I ended up picking up Sam Howell a week in advance, and then I picked up Joshua Dobbs. And Joshua Dobbs, to me, is the biggest threat because the guy can use his legs and score, and a lot of people don't realize how good Dobbs is. If you have Dobbs available in your league, grab him. Okay, he is the 10th ranked quarterback, Joshua Dobbs. So I got the number 10 quarterback, Mahomes, number 3 quarterback, Sam Howell, number 6 quarterback, and then Kyler is just coming in. So I have plenty of option. But the thing that sold me on Dobbs, right? He's a guy that is a low-name guy. You know, he's like a rocket scientist, NASA, really intelligent, right? So he's put up 25, 17, 24, 8, 10, 16, 22 against the Ravens, who have the number 1 D. And then he went over, obviously to the Vikings. And his very first game, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 fumbles, right? But it didn't hurt really too much. No picks, right? But then on the flip side, his rushing, 7 attempts for 66 yards and a tutty. And in the last 3 games that he has run, 7 attempts for 43 yards and a tutty against Seattle, 6 attempts for 26 yards, a tutty against Baltimore, 7 attempts, 66 yards, and a tutty against Atlanta. So, for me, this guy, Joshua Dobbs, has more 20-point games than Patrick Mahomes. So that tells me, if you want to win a fantasy championship, you have to understand it's not about name recognition. Sometimes you have to make a tough decision and throw a Joshua Dobbs and a Taysom Hill in the lineup, even though sometimes Taysom hits and sometimes he doesn't. But this is the first year that they finally implemented Taysom specifically for strategy, where they're going to give him more looks than ever. And they've never done that in the career of the Saints and Taysom Hill. So that's why I feel confident if they keep continuing going to Taysom Hill heavy and AK-41, they may not lose the rest of the year, or lose very, very rarely. And I know the Saints are going to win the NFC South 100%. The Bucs, Falcons, Panthers have a 0% chance. And I like what they're doing. It finally took them, half of a year to realize, oh, maybe we should use Taysom as an RPO. Maybe we should have him throw. Maybe we should have him catch. Maybe we should have him run. I mean, that's what he's there for. Use him. And the coaching staff with Allen and Carmichael are so stupid a lot of the times they didn't realize that they could have used that at the beginning of the year. But then they finally realized it now. So, but I'm going to be rolling, even though I got like the 2 of the top 3 tight ends in Andrews and Laporta, there's a chance where I'm going to play Andrews, and then over Laporta, I'll probably be playing Taysom Hill. Taysom's got a bye next week, so that's why I'm rolling the dice. Big tackle by the Bears. And a lot of times, if you play a guy, fresh off an injury, like David Montgomery, he'll blow up. Last time he had an injury, came back, he scored like 30 plus, right? This is the last week for the Saints before the bye. So you might as well roll the dice, play Taysom Hill. Hopefully he gets 14 to 20 points for me. Then he's got a bye. And then if I want to do Laporta and Andrews, or if I want to do Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra, and eventually Jay Jetta, and if I don't have him, then Mike Evans, you got to be able to give guys an opportunity to shine. And I wish I would have had Taysom Hill on my roster all year, but I am not a hater to greatness, and he is greatness. 3rd down and 11, shotgun set for Bryce Young. Into the turf. Judah in the building, what's good? Best deep ball? Well, back in the day, it was Mahomes and Josh Allen, but if we're talking about the best deep ball that gets intercepted, Josh Allen. But that is a good question. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have a good deep ball. Mahomes has got a good deep ball, but the receivers won't catch it. Josh Allen's got a good deep ball. Better pray that it's Stephon Diggs or it's not getting caught. Maybe Gabe Davis. Lamar's got a good deep ball. Herbert's got a good deep ball. Jalen Hurts has got a good deep ball. I mean, right now, the best deep ball in football, I would assume, is Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown. That, to me, that's the best deep ball in the NFL this year. Kick is up, and it's good. There we go. Good game. 10-3 Panthers. Okay, and then I got to turn on the Kraken here. They're going against Colorado, and I know they're going to get smoked, but I still want to watch. So 1 sec here. Let me get it situated for this and put this on my screen. So that way I can watch more than one matchup at once. And there's a lot going on today. All right, we got the Kraken and the Avalanche. We got the Coyotes and the Blues. We got the Predators and the Jets. We got the Stars and the Blue Jackets. Then we got college football, Virginia and Louisville, Southern Miss and Louisiana. Then the NHL, we got the Islanders and the Bruins. Go Bruins for Judah. In first place, I see you. Canadians and the Red Wings. Canucks and the Senators. Wild and the Rangers. Blackhawks, right? Kanabadad, all right? Tampa Bay Lightning. And then we got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. So let me put this Kraken on. This one is going to get ugly. I know that we will lose. I would be shocked if we win. All right, let me get it loaded here. All right, boom. Got it going. Hybrid in the building. What's good? Let's get those likes up, baby. Josh Allen? I'm just speaking truth. I mean, let's be honest. When Josh Allen goes deep, right? Why do you think that the Bills are so shitty? It's not just his defense with no Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White. He's not as accurate as guys like Burrow, like Jalen Hurts. Even Lamar normally is behind him, has passed him. Even Herbert. Is Josh Allen more talented than Justin Herbert? Yes, but who do you trust more? Like, I don't trust the Chargers coaching. I don't trust the Chargers defense. But if I'm just doing trust, I trust that Herbert won't turn the ball over as often as Josh Allen. So Josh Allen is the most elite, overrated quarterback in the NFL. Like Mahomes, it's like they have a lack of receivers. Lamar has been great. Lamar's been playing like an MVP candidate. And when he's been able to go on man coverage and dominate the league in the last month, as well as going back to Mark Andrews, hello, he's good. Give him the ball. Now they're playing well. And the defense is statistically in the top 2, normally number 1, number 2, almost every week. Right? But it shows you Josh Allen was throwing picks even when the defense was top 5. Now the defense is garbage, right? They can't stop a nosebleed, and now he's even throwing more. Now, can the Bills still make the playoffs? Yes, but they're going to be like the Chargers or like the Dallas Cowboys, where they get there, and chances are they're going to lose in the first round. Now, if the defense was still there with Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano and Von Miller healthy, even with Allen's shaky play, they could win a playoff game. But this year, if they make it, they're not going to win a playoff game. They're not good enough. The Ravens are better. The Bengals are better. Hell, even the Browns and the Steelers probably could end up beating the Bills. It's like the Jags could, the Ravens could. You have to look at teams that have good balance. And, there's a lot of teams out there that people want to talk about. But I like the Ravens and the Jags as far as teams that have balance. Don't be surprised if those two teams overachieve. And then same thing on the NFC side. The Eagles are the best team in football, right? But if the Niners can, get past their woes, you're going to be able to see them get back on track. But then also, too, like a team like the Detroit Lions, the Seattle Seahawks, you got to have balance. And obviously with the Seahawks, sometimes they can't stop the pass. They've been pretty good on the run. And in years past, it was flip-flopped. But again, you have to be able to go to your running backs. The moment you go away from David Montgomery and Kenneth Walker III, you lose the game right away. But you're starting to see, like, we thought the NFC was the better conference, but as the year has gone along, I think it's shifted. I think now the AFC is a stronger conference. The NFC has got the best team in football in the Philadelphia Eagles, but then they got a lot of teams that are looking a little shaky right now. Niners, Seahawks, Lions, Cowboys. The Saints look like they're starting to get on track. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like the AFC, everyone in the goddamn AFC North would be in the playoffs if we started the playoffs last week. So, and I don't really believe in Cleveland's offense or Pittsburgh's offense either, but it shows you the depth that you have. And I like guys and teams that are motivated. Obviously, it's whoever's hot and healthy, right? But you got to be able to have balance on both sides of the ball, right? And like, I've never been a real big Josh Allen guy or a Lamar guy, but it's very, very clear. If I had a choice between Josh Allen or Lamar, I'm going Lamar. I'm going Lamar. I'm going Joe Burrow. I'm going Mahomes. I'm going fucking Jalen Hurts. Like Josh Allen is no longer a top 3 quarterback to me. He makes too many mistakes in clutch situations, especially going into double and triple coverage in the third and fourth quarter. First quarter, second quarter, he's good. Third quarter, fourth quarter, not so much. And they still don't have a top 10 running back. And until they address that, they're going to continue to lose. That's just my feeling about it. Absolutely, brother. Now, if Josh Allen threw less interceptions, he definitely is a top 3 quarterback. He's up there, and he can run, he can hurdle, but I just feel that in certain situations, like even with a guy like Justin Herbert, who doesn't have the coaching and it doesn't have the defense and they have the injury curse, right? Most people would say Josh Allen is better than Justin Herbert, right? But if Justin Herbert was on the Bills and they had a better defense, I bet you would win more games with him. Just because he wouldn't be turning the football over, late in the games. And that's really where the Bills lose, is where he ends up forcing a bad pick and then they lose. But I still think Josh Allen is the better quarterback than Herbert. You know what I mean? But guys like Herbert and Lamar and a lot of these other guys that have been behind him have slowly kind of caught up. But if you still want to say, I would rather have Josh Allen than Justin Herbert, then that's fine. I think Josh Allen has better skill set. He's got a better arm. But if we're talking about just one simple fact, protecting the football and not throwing picks, I think I trust Herbert a little more than Allen. You know what I mean? But as far as Allen's running ability, we know Herbert can run the ball too. But again, Herbert's on a shitty team with a shitty head coach, shitty O-line, and a shitty defense most of the time, and guys that get hurt all the time. Yeah, they got Eckler and they got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, but what happens every year? All those guys get fucking hurt, so. Really, when it comes down to at the end of the day, you got to have a good O-line, D-line, defense, coaching, play calling, and you need a quarterback that's not going to throw bad picks, especially late. So, but this is the first year that Allen's gotten exposed, where the defense hasn't been able to bail him out, and he's been throwing more and more interceptions. It's like you finally get exposed for that quarterback that everyone thought that was top three. But even Patrick Mahomes doesn't look very good this year either. It shows you no Eric Bieniemy, no Juju. Yeah, Rashee Rice is good and Travis Kelce, but the distraction with Taylor Swift and not having a true number one. Like, they need a DK Metcalf. They need an AJ Brown. They need a Mike Evans on the Chiefs. And if they get that, then they're going to get back to business. But if they don't, they're going to continue to struggle, in my opinion. So 10-3 Panthers. But if I'm looking at the pecking order right now, Jalen right now is playing the some of the best ball out of anybody, and same thing with Lamar. So even though Mahomes and Allen are normally considered top 3, I think right now I would rather have Jalen and Lamar personally. And I like Joe Burrow. I know Joe Burrow was hurt, right? But when Joe Burrow's not hurt, to me, he's up there in the top 3, top 4 as well. Don't be surprised if the Bengals get hot late and they make the playoffs and they make a run. They may not be able to be good enough to make the AFC championship game this year, but you never can count out Joe Burrow. And if I had a choice between Burrow and Allen, I'm going Burrow 100% of the time. And I guess it just depends on your type of style of quarterback, But I think it's really good that we got Lamar, going back to Mark Andrews heavy, because now we're able to see MVP Lamar. And it's been a few years where we have seen MVP Lamar come out, and we finally got him back from a few years ago. Big fan. Nice tackle. But when Lamar dances around and doesn't go to Mark Andrews, then you get those performances where you're like, what the fuck, Lamar? You're supposed to be a top 5 quarterback, but then you're more like top 10, sometimes top 12, and then you're getting like 10 points in fantasy. You should be able to get, even on a bad game, 15 minimum, and then you have a good running ability. Hell, you should be able to put up 18 to 30 almost, every week based off your skill set. But also it depends on the O-line and the defense and the wide receivers. If they're stepping up, how is the running game looking? J.K. Dobbins gets hurt every year, but they got other guys to step up now, like Gus the Bus, Justice Hill, and now they got another one in Mitchell. So it's just cool to be able to see certain guys get written off, and then they've always been like 5, 6, 7, like, Lamar. And then now I would say that Lamar is playing like, a top 4 quarterback, just like Jalen Hurts and a few others. But if Josh Allen wants to return to being Josh Allen, they have to, improve that defense, improve the O-line, get a running back that's top 10, and then he'll be back to being, top 2, top 3 guy. But, I feel, prove me wrong. If it's a clutch situation and it's the 4th quarter and it's in the playoffs, who do you trust more? Mahomes, Lamar, based off this year, Jalen, Burrow, or Josh Allen? It's like, you can't trust him. You know what I'm saying? If you put Justin Herbert on a better team, he would play better. You got to understand he's never had a good coach. If you consider Staley and Anthony Lynn good coaches, Jesus Christ. It's like you got good role players like Eckler and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, but what happens to all the Charger players and all the superstars? They always get hurt every single year, and typically season ending, like Mike Williams. You got Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, but how often do they all play together? Barely, and then when it comes to the playoffs, they don't exist. The defense just disappears. So I feel like Herbert needs to go to a new team. If you put Herbert like on the Buccaneers, his numbers would be a hell of a lot better than what they are now. You just need to go somewhere where you have better coaching and better structure. Now, if you put Herbert on the Ravens, what kind of numbers would you get? Put Herbert, on the Eagles, what kind of numbers would you get? Would you put Herbert on the Niners? What kind of numbers would you get? So, Herbert, I wouldn't put Herbert as an elite quarterback. He's good, but he hasn't been able to be mentored. You know what I mean? He's a great guy off the field. He can make all the throws, but he needs help to be able to take his game to that next level. And if he can get an elite coach, a quarterback guru, a defense that doesn't have injury curses, and an offensive line that fucking can stay healthy, Herbert might be able to make an AFC championship game once before his career is over, maybe twice at the most, and maybe a Super Bowl. But if he stays on the Chargers, it probably is never going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Even me, I know that. I'm an Oregon Duck through and through, but you've never heard me say Justin Herbert's the best quarterback in the NFL, not even once. It's like I know that he's got talent, but as watching him over the years, there's guys that are better. As good as Justin Herbert is, and I'm Ducks all day, every day. Hell, I'm wearing a Duck fucking jacket right now, right? But there's guys that are better. Is Lamar better than Herbert? Yes. Is Jalen better than Herbert? Yes. Is Mahomes better than Herbert? Yes. Is Burrow better? Yes. Is Allen better? Most of the time, yes, except for the turnovers and the bad picks. That's one area I would say Herbert has an advantage there. He protects the football better than Allen. They both are good runners, but most people would take Allen as a runner rather than Herbert. So I get that. So, but again, if you swap Herbert for Allen and Herbert's on the Bills, Herbert would be throwing the same amount of picks as Josh Allen if you got no defense and the O-line stinks and you got shitty running backs. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be forcing the football in there to Diggs too much and Gabe Davis. The only bright side for them is Dalton Kincaid. They actually got someone better than Dawson Knox. So, a lot of times Josh Allen is this like hype machine because he's on the Buffalo Bills and he's likable, right? But if we're talking about maybe the most overrated quarterback, just like the most overrated quarterback in the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay, a lot of people love him. But when it comes down to the end of the day, you couldn't count on him winning at home at Lambeau. It doesn't mean that he's not a Hall of Famer. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, but he's probably the biggest choker at home at all time in the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's not me being a hater. It's just truth. It's facts, right? If you got like a 500 record at home and you're in the NFC Championship game, obviously you're not very good. It's like, oh, it's the special teams. Oh, it's the defense. Oh, it's the defense. At some point, you got to be held accountable. And if you make the NFC Championship game and you're winning MVPs, at minimum, you should be throwing 2 touchdown passes, preferably 3 or 4, not 1. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I take it. 10-3 Panthers, 3rd and 10. Good energy from the crowd tonight. Giannis with a 50 nug. Nice. 50 nuggets with sweet and sour and barbecue. Oh, it's 12 noon. You know what time it is? Time for a Chicago Bear sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. And also, too, if Bryce Young didn't have any other running backs or wide receivers on their team and the defense still is the same, but the offensive line is good, then we're putting up CJ Stroud kind of numbers. You know what I mean? But since his offensive line isn't good, he's not able to have time. You know what I mean? So if that's one part that I would improve with the Panthers, is I definitely would be beefing up the line. They need to be able to have an all-pro Pro Bowl center, and I would definitely be looking at a left tackle and a right guard. You got to have 3 strong pieces up front. Nice tackle. But it shows you in this NFL, besides Jalen being on the Eagles because they have the coach, they have the O-line, they have the D-line, they have the depth, they have Georgia players, they have coaching, they have special teams, they have everything. Minus Jalen, we've seen Mahomes look great, and we've seen Mahomes look like shit, right? For a number of reasons. Receiving core, not as good. No Bieniemy and whatnot. Defense has been fantastic, but the offense has not been up to par. Josh Allen hasn't looked good. Lamar in the last couple of years, besides this year, hasn't looked as good as he could have been, right? Herbert hasn't looked as good. So it's like you get these guys that could be considered top 5 quarterbacks, but not all of them are consistently playing like a top 5 quarterback every year. And this year, Josh Allen and Mahomes got the wrong end of the stick, but then Lamar and Jalen have gone up, and Jalen is maybe the best quarterback in the NFL, even though some of his numbers aren't going to be as good. And the reason I say that too is that Jalen's attack ability with running the football and the tush push gives him an edge over everyone else. Lamar's got that athleticism with that quick tapping feet that he can just tap, 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 tap and run away from guys, right? He can do that. But, if you're looking at Jalen, he can throw short, he can throw deep, he can throw intermediate, he can run. And then obviously on the goal line, he's like a Cam Newton or someone of that nature, where instead of being 6'5" and built like Anthony Richardson or Cam Newton, he's short, but he's got people that can push him into the end zone. And offensive line is fantastic. One of the best in the NFL. Halfback toss. Nice tackle by the Panthers. $4 holla. Appreciate you. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $4 holla. And we'll be getting some photos here and just in the next commercial break, and I'll throw up some cheap photos for Cyberpunk, even though I doubt that he's in here because obviously he probably doesn't want to watch this game, but we'll still show some love and some representation there too. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. 90 to go to hit the goal. Yeah, and I wasn't just saying right guard based on who you have right now, but I'm just saying depth. It's like, centers, left guard, left tackle, right? Like, you just need more talent. And even if you got a guy that's pretty good, that doesn't mean that person can't be upgraded and whatnot. So, the whole offensive line needs a facelift and whatnot. So, but give the Panthers some time, and then Bryce will be putting up similar numbers to Richardson and CJ. But again, if you don't have the personnel, it's hard to be able to compare players when they're not in the same situation. Because if CJ was on the Panthers and Bryce was on the Texans, and everyone is giving Bryce all the love, what would they be saying about CJ? That he's a bust? Absolutely, they'd be saying the same thing. If Richardson was here and he's not doing well, and the other guys are one struggling and the other one's doing good. It all depends on who the supporting cast is. Coaching is big too. We got to remember that. Yeah. So out of your whole offensive line, based on your opinion, is there anybody that you would keep moving forward if you fired the coach and you did a whole rebuild and they're trying to get the best, guys out of college to come to the team? Like what would you want personally? Would you go center and then left tackle if you were going to go for two spots? Because those are going to be the most dominant spots, because the center is going to call the protection. And Jackson Powers from the Ducks is the best center in college football. And then left tackle, obviously being a Bryce right-handed quarterback would be essential. And then obviously going left guard, and right tackle would be, the pecking order, typically depending on where you're going to want to go and who you have currently. Third down and 4, shotgun set. Bagent going long, going deep. Oh, incomplete. Kenny Moore. Okay, I got you. Yeah, AEW t-shirts were ridiculous. They were like $40 to $45. I mean, I got a couple of them gifted. I mean, luckily we have great fans and great friends, that I've gotten some pretty cool things, like wrestling figures donated to me from like Odin's son. Obviously we've had a few other people that have donated me like AEW t-shirts from AEW shop, tickets to go see the Ducks and the Buffaloes for Colorado and Dion. And then Preston was able to take me to, AEW Dynamite, and we got to see Ring of Honor yesterday as well. Nice catch. First down, Bears. Seeing MJF in person was very, very cool. And then obviously with Ring of Honor, Samoa Joe relinquished the belt. They should have just had Keith Lee win and have him have it. So it sounds like Samoa Joe is going to be on the AEW main roster now. And maybe he'll start a feud with MJF or some of the others. But got to see a lot of the people there. And then, didn't get to see Orange Cassidy until Ring of Honor came up. And then we ended up sneaking onto the other side where they don't have a whole lot of fan seating. It's where where they have the cameraman. And me and Preston were like, let's just go over there. There was only like maybe 15 people sitting on that whole side. So I was like, let's just go over there. And then we went over there with about an hour left in the show with like Ring of Honor and some of the other Dynamite. And we were at 6th row. We weren't on the floor, but we were in the 6th row, which was much closer than when we were over there. And Vikingo and we got to be able to see some of those guys up close. Really cool vibe. Obviously, it wasn't like a sold out show, even though it was like the first, AEW Dynamite. If you go to Dynamite or a Raw, a lot of people see it on TV and it looks like there's like 40, 50,000 people there, like at an NFL game. But the reality is the side that where the cameras are, there's typically not a lot of people over there. A lot of times it's like nobody or very, very few people. So the people on the opposite side, on the TV side, that will be all full, and on the sides and all the way up to like the 300 level. But there's usually about a quarter of the building that's not even full, just because it's not that the wrestling event isn't good. It's just, that's just how they do the seating in wrestling. So no, I didn't get any, no money for that. Like I said, if I ended up having $40, $45, I would rather, try to give a present away to someone like you or get something for Paisley. So we didn't buy anything from the shop or anything there. So everything was way too overpriced. I mean, I could buy the same shirt on AEW shop for 20 to 25 bucks that they were selling for 40 to 45. So same thing with WWE when you go to a show, you know. I mean, the only thing that I would be interested in on AEW side is maybe the world title, but I'm not spending $800 on it, which is kind of crazy. Like the AEW world title belt is like $600 to $800 brand new. Even AEW's belt compared to WWE's belt, WWE's are typically $400 to $500, not over that. But for whatever reason, the AEW belt, you know, the authentic one is like, it's like $600, $700, $800. It's wild. I mean, I could get 2 WWE belts for the price of that AEW belt, and that's probably what I would do. You know, I'd probably get like a smoking skull belt or like the big gold belt, like the NWO. I'd probably end up getting like 2 old school belts rather than getting, you know, as much as I love AEW, you know, I don't know. That's a crazy amount for a belt. So. Yeah, but nobody has done Keith Lee. Everyone has done Keith Lee dirty. Vince did Keith Lee dirty, and Vince is selling his shares. I talked to obviously Air Whitey, and he said that I guess he had a big fallout because he thought while selling that company to like that MMA company, once he sold it to them, that he would go back and get the power. But instead, they ended up, you know, doing him dirty and giving it to Triple H. And then now he's selling his like 8.5 million shares. And I think that once he does that, he will have no ties to WWE after that. It'll all be Triple H and Stephanie and, you know, and everyone else and Khan and all the others in that group and whatnot. But he was telling me that, you know, he had a friend that was going to try to get him, you know, to go to Survivor Series, but he didn't have the money for it and whatnot. But yeah, but it was cool. And even though I didn't get to see the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Jericho, like in the ring, they did a little promo. So I was able to see them in the promo. And obviously, you know, they did the Ring of Honor show and they did the AEW Dynamite. They don't have Dark anymore, which I found out because, you know, they have Collision now and Rampage. So, but still got to be able to see like 4 or 5 hours of wrestling for like $20. You can't beat that. And I was able to sneak down like Lenny D did when he went to Monday Night Raw, where he was like in the second row. So sometimes you got to be able to, you know, push the limits, and you have to have good timing, and you have to look where security is. And sometimes, you know, you're able to sneak down really close and enjoy yourself. So, but no one has really done Keith Lee the proper way. You know what I mean? But maybe at some point. And then I got to see Eddie Kingston, you know, defend his belt against Dalton Castle. You know, he's got that very unique character, kind of like a Gold Dust vibe with Dalton Castle and whatnot. But it was cool. Vikingo fucking rocked. And like I said, one of the best matches in the whole thing was probably Swerve Strickland, right? Swerve. That one was pretty fucking good. And I told Preston that was probably going to be the, you know, the match of the night, and it was. But I did like Samoa Joe and Keith Lee. MJF and Daniel Garcia were pretty good. I got to see Mark Briscoe and Jay White. But Swerve Strickland versus Penta, that one had some real cool high-flying moves. It was awesome. Lucha Bros all day, every day. But if I was able to see like Daniel Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Jericho, Moxley, you know, it's like I got to see some of them cut promos, but some of my favorite of all time, like literally the top 5 that I love the most, didn't even get to do anything there. No Kenny Omega wrestling, no Young Bucks, no Moxley, no Daniel Bryan. That's tough, you know. Even Jericho being a little flabby out there, I don't care. You know, he got a little bit older, but I still love me some Jericho. So, yeah, but it was a fun show, man. Well, Dalton Castle's got the vibe where it's like, you know, kind of femme, kind of like, you know, kind of gay, you know, type of wrestler vibe, kind of like a Velveteen Dream, you know, where it was like kind of femme, you know, and it's like kind of pushing the boundaries, because you have straight wrestlers, and then you got like Bowens, who's like the first openly gay wrestler in AEW that, you know, decided to come out and whatnot. Good for him, you know. But as far as like putting on an act and show, regardless if you're straight or gay, or if you're trying to be flamboyantly gay or straight, you know, whatever way you're trying to go. But with Dalton Castle's character, kind of like a Velveteen Dream and Goldust, where they're kind of femme and pushing the boundaries. But I kind of like it, because there's no one in wrestling that was like Goldust. I really liked Velveteen Dream when he was wrestling until he fucked up his career. And then I saw that he was like in the developmental scene through WWE again. So I don't know if they're going to give him another chance. And then Dalton Castle, he's got his little, homies with him with the fans and with the little masks and whatnot. But I like unique characters, regardless if it's gay, straight, I don't care. If it's a cool character and a cool concept and they're a good wrestler, I could really care either way. But I do like the Dalton Castle character a lot. He actually is kind of a fan favorite. I think people like him too because he has that Velveteen Dream kind of Gold Dust vibe, and it's so unique that no one really wrestles like those guys. And that's why I was really disappointed that Velveteen Dream didn't pan out. I thought that he was a stud. I thought he was really, really entertaining when he was on that NXT scene and got in trouble with the law. And hopefully he'll be able to get his career situated and kind of figured out. So Velveteen Dream was literally like my favorite. He was wearing like the NWO gear and trying to be like Hollywood Hogan and just the way that he wrestled. I was like super entertained. I was like, every time Velveteen Dream had a match, I was like, no phone, I'm watching. And I'm a fan. There was only certain guys that I was like, wow, I really like, this character, even if it might be a little like gay, little femme, like, he's putting on an act, like, doing the whole like Gold Dust kind of thing. But I liked it. I was like, dude, this is cool, regardless of, how, whatever angle that you want to go, because I think with Velveteen Dream, it was an act because he's straight, but he was like kind of pretending to be gay wrestler. And then you got like Bowens, who kind of like, if you didn't know, you would assume is straight, but then is gay. But obviously people hopefully don't treat him, obviously if people were hating on him or, mistreating him, we probably would have heard about it, and obviously that would not be a good look for AEW, especially if you got people in the locker room that are hating on him just because he's gay. But I imagine there are some wrestlers that have said some fucked up shit to him, but I think he's got a really good circle around him, and everybody loves the Acclaimed, you know what I mean, including your boy. So Kathy Kelly. Who? Velveteen Dream? I like the Dalton Castle, though, because he's so over the top. You know what I mean? With the robes, the fans, his little fanboys that are next to him. And obviously it's like almost like they're trying to over-sexualize the gayness out of Dalton Castle, but they do it in a way where it's not like perverted. It's just like, this is his style. He likes the colors. This is his look, and he's going to have like his homies with him and whatnot. And I don't know. I think they did a great job with that character. And I don't know. I kind of hope that Dalton Castle gets a chance to be on the main roster. I'd love to be able to see him on AEW. You know what I mean? Like, but again, I'm not sure, like, as far as wrestling fans, some people didn't like Gold Dust because of that, or Velveteen Dream, or Bowens, or Dalton Castle. But, it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. If you can wrestle, you can wrestle. Facts. Pass incomplete. Yeah, it was cool to be able to see Sting out there. I got a lot of photos. I took like 50 to 60 photos. But I mean, I got Ring of Honor photos. I mean, Vikingo, Commander. Man, so many Bollywood boys. All the Ring of Honor stuff in there. I got to see Orange Cassidy. So many cool photos out there. Samoa Joe, Keith Lee, Swerve, Penta. Love me some Penta. But again, for as far as the big superstars, I really wish I was able to see Kenny Omega, Jericho, Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, Young Bucks, because those are like my favorite. But, at least I got to see MJF wrestle. And I was wondering why they opened with the championship match as the first match, which surprised everyone at the show last night in Oregon at Moda against Daniel Garcia. But then it also kind of linked in to him at the very end. Obviously with the Bullet Club and Jay White, at the end of the show. So it was very, very cool to be able to see MJF in action. And who knows? I mean, in the near future, MJF might be in WWE, and if they do go to WWE, I mean, he'll be IC champ or Universal or heavyweight. I would hardly think that they would bury someone as good as MJF and like put him as United States champion or some shit like that. I mean, he's too good of a shit talker, and so if he got paid a lot, and then they decided to make him a tag team or if they decided to make him a, like a United States champion. I mean, that would be hella disrespectful. I don't think that Triple H is that stupid, as well as the rest of the crew. If you're going to pay the big money to get MJF, you want him to go against guys like Seth and Roman, or have a intriguing matchup with maybe a Logan Paul or a Dirty Dom, or, it doesn't have to be for the Universal Championship or the United States, but, whoever has the belts has the belts. So Bryce Young almost picked. What happened to my hands? Switchblade, Jay Watt.
The rookie almost comes up with a big play. He's the one guy I didn't bring up, and he's the most targeted corner in the National Football League. He looks at me. The ball's out in front of the rookie.
But I had a lot of fun. And, me and Preston could have snuck down to the first row off the floor. So, and easily. But I think Preston just didn't really want to move. And we had a couple cool people that we were talking to near us when we were watching the show. But I can always tell with Preston, because me and him are always looking to get the best experience that we can. And that's why out of all my friends, me and him are the only ones here in Oregon that have gotten merch. When we go to games, we've gotten memorabilia. He's the only one that I've ever met that that has gotten 2 Kobe armbands when Kobe was playing. Most people will never have gotten even a chance or a sniff at a Kobe armband, and he was able to get 2 when Kobe was in his prime, when he ended up coming to Oregon. So, and obviously my experiences with Julio and Aaron Judge and Kike Hernandez, between me and him, we have gotten more memorabilia at games than anyone that I've ever met. I'm not Zach Hampel, you know what I mean? But if I had the money like Zach Hampel, and me and Preston had a vlog, and all we did was travel and go to games and record it, I guarantee that we could put up just as much as Hampel, and we would be going to everything: hockey, baseball, basketball, football. But you got to be able to know where to sit, where to go, and sometimes you got to take a risk, and you got to be able to move seats, especially if security's not there and you're able to move on the other side of the building, right? And you can get front row for a seat that might have cost a couple $100, but no one's sitting there. Might as well try. What's the worst they can do? Tell you to leave and go back to your seat? They're not going to kick you out, So if you're not going to get kicked out, why not try? Lenny D had seats up at the very, very top at Texas for Raw, and he had one of his buddies that worked security there at the building, in Dallas, for Monday Night Raw a couple weeks ago. Snuck down to the second row. It was right behind Michael Cole. Right behind the announcer table. If you don't take chances, you're never going to have experiences like that. And I'm not saying that you should do those things, but if you have, the right person with you and you're smart about it, sometimes you can end up making an amazing memory, and getting a little bit closer. So Wrestle Kingdom, Okada, Danielson. Yeah, that would be definitely worth buying. I'd have to see the rest of the card though. 0-0 for the Kraken and the Avalanche. Come on, Kraken. And I'll be getting photos for all of y'all, and we'll get some more during the break. But Preston didn't take too many pictures, but he did the video for MJF as far as the intro. I wasn't able to get my phone out. I was just doing too many photos and stuff. But I got more photos than him. I think I got 50 or 60. So I want to make sure I preserve that moment. And then obviously I sent them to quite a few people just to show them what was up. So. But there's not a bad seat at Moda. You could literally sit at the 300 level and sit dead center courtside. And sometimes that's going to be better than sitting 100 level on a corner, because it's you're farther away. You need to be able to see the ring or see the court. So sometimes, if me and Preston initially go, we'll try to find cheap tickets for $20 to $40 for wrestling or basketball or whatever. And then we'll move afterwards. But you just want to be able to get a good view of the ring and a good view of the entrance ramp, and a lot of times these people will overpay hundreds of dollars to be on the floor, but they're in the back corner and they can't even see anything. You're on the 100 level, but you're in a back corner. It's better to be up higher to see in the dead center. You want to be 50-yard line up higher, or do you want to be on the 10-yard line in the corner, and when the action is on the other side, you can barely see. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to use your judgment when you go to events. And we always research, what area would be best. So flag on the play. Raw's coming in January, and me and Preston are probably going to go. And I found out that it's on a day right before the playoffs start, so it's not going to mess up our Monday Night Football schedule. So But we're thinking about going to Monday Night Raw in January. The only problem is whenever me and Preston go to wrestling events, everyone wants to talk to us. Like we're already having our own conversations, and always people eavesdrop and always want to like talk, which I don't mind. But sometimes it's like you get these guys, you can tell like they probably just left their basement for the first time in a month, and it's like some of the wrestling crowd is chill, but then you get a lot of kind of weirdos that go to wrestling events too. Like you can tell like some of the people look like they haven't left their house in like 6 months. You know what I mean? They've just been sitting in the basement playing Call of Duty and watching wrestling, and that's it, But usually I try to be nice to everyone, even if we get weirdo people, like, I usually just, I'm not going to be rude to them. I'll talk to them. They ain't going to be my best friend. You know what I mean? But you definitely get a very unusual crowd. I mean, it's just like when you go to a basketball, baseball, football game, the crowds are going to be different, based off, what event you go to. And we had these kids that were above us in a suite that were like screaming non-fucking stop, but I'm not going to be like, shut the fuck up, like I'm going to let the kid have their moment. But sometimes it gets a little annoying, when they're like screaming at the top of their lungs, like every 5 seconds, like fucking A, man. Like, let me enjoy this goddamn AEW. RKO. The agent limping.
Seeing man under coverage, so he's got an opening. But when he's taken off running initially, that ball's away from his body, and then they hit him hard.
Oh, right on the shoulder. But I'm used to it. I mean, I've been going to wrestling events as a little kid. So, I mean, I saw The Rock and Stone Cold in their prime in Seattle in the 90s. I remember one time at graduation, we were doing finals, right? And I told my dad, when my dad was a teacher there, I said, I'm going to take 4 of the homies in my Integra that's lowered. I don't know if we're going to be, scraping, but I was like, we're going to go, to like Raw and SmackDown or whatever it was. I think it was SmackDown. And I was like, I promise we'll be back later tonight. And I'll drive there 3 hours, drive back, and we'll all be on time for finals tomorrow. And I don't know if they believed it or whatnot, but I was like, I wasn't going to miss out on the fucking Rock or Stone Cold, So I got like 4 of the homies, and then we fucking I drove us all there, 3.5 hours there, 3 hours back, whatever. They had shows in like Tacoma also. So I was like, fuck it, man, let's do it. And I don't regret doing it either. Sometimes you got to take advantage of those moments. And it was a cool thing too. I had a class with this teacher named San Vitali, and it was his last year. He was retiring, and it was kind of like a free period where you could just kind of like do homework and just kind of chill. This guy was so cool, and he had a classroom right next to my dad. This guy would let me put ECW and Raw and SmackDown. Like, I would just get the VCR, and I'd just throw the fucking tape in there, and he would let the class, like, he would let us watch, wrestling from that particular week. Pretty cool. Most teachers would not allow that, but I was like, fuck it. I was like, let me put some wrestling on. And obviously only about half of the class really gave a shit, but it was kind of cool. We're just sitting in there, and people are copying each other's homework, and we're just chilling. And if we're, at least there's something in the background on. I mean, it's up to you if you want to watch or not. But at that time, wrestling was still really good, for Raw and SmackDown and whatnot. And obviously WCW Nitro was going full-fledged too. So, all right, 3rd down and 6, 10-6 Panthers. Looks like it might end up being like a, 2017 or something game, 2016 game, 2017 game. Let's see if they can move the football here. Shotgun set, 3rd down and 6. Bagent. Cole Kmet. Go, 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 Cole. Go, Cole. 1st down, Bears. Now, at this point, if you can get one more pass, and then you can go to Cole Kmet or DJ Moore, you might be able to get a cheap tutty, but you'll get a field goal, and that'll at least get us to 10-9. Yeah. Plus, like I said, everyone knew me at the school before I even got there. Because like I said, when I transferred, my dad was already a teacher there for like 30 plus years. He was like the most popular teacher, room number 420. He did English, humanities. He even did the yearbook with the photos and whatnot. So it's like, everyone already kind of knew me when I was there, and I wasn't really like a fucking Troublemaker. Uh-oh. Go, Bajan, go. Safe. Timeout. All right, now they have to go for the field goal. No opportunity for Cole Kmet, unfortunately. But a lot of the teachers were pretty chill with me, so.
Football loose, gets around Braxton Jones with a good initial burst off the line. Doesn't give up.
Good burst off the edge right there. I thought I was watching Julius Peppers there for a second. And he knocked the football out, but it didn't come out. It went right into his lap, and then he recovered it. Good defense there. All right, Kraken and the Avalanche still knotted up at 0. Blazers lost a heartbreaker to the Kings in OT. I got home just in time and messaged my boy Justin right when overtime started, but I knew we were going to lose. Blazers are not making the playoffs this year. We're terrible. Field goal attempt is up. And it's good. 10-9. So we might end up having a 2017 game. Your boy's prediction might come true. Yeah, but we got a punt return, kick return for a special teams touchdown. So hopefully the Panthers can get an offensive touchdown, in the second half, and we can get a little bit more on the Bears as well. So, but for what it is, I was actually pretty entertained. Some people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to watch this, but I still, I thought it was pretty entertaining. I mean, it's like you had the Chargers and the Jets, and the Chargers were putting up a lot. But as far as like with these two teams, they match up really well. So it's like you knew the Jets weren't going to do anything on offense, but their defense would do something. At least you get both teams. They're not great, but at least both teams can kind of move the football up and down the field. So it's not going to be so heavily sided Chargers over the Jets. And this one could go either way. And that's what we want, right? All right, let's get some photos up.
Go to Carvana and track your car's value today.
All right, let's do some for Odin's son. Or not Odin's son, but Cyberpunk. Even though if he's not in here, for me to be able to, quote unquote, do this crappy game. But, you have to hustle and you have to grind. And not every matchup on Thursday, Sunday, or Monday is going to be good compared to most people. Some matchups are going to be kind of shitty. But I love football so much, I don't care. I would rather do any NFL matchup than any NBA game. You could put the two best NBA teams playing in a game or the two worst in the NFL, and I would rather do the two worst in the NFL. That's how it goes. Period.
This holiday, Dick's Sporting Goods is the headquarters for fleece and hoodies. Keep the whole family warm with soft and cozy hoodies from Nike, Jordan, and Kara. We have a wide selection of CALIA, Burst, and FP movement for everyone.
Oh, yeah. We'll do a couple wrestling photos in here as well, since we're talking about wrestling and me going to AEW Dynamite last night, which was a lot of fun. Fun doesn't cost a whole lot of money. We didn't eat any food there or before, just try to make it as cheap as possible. And wrestling is never going to be like it was in the 80s and 90s, but it always gives us an opportunity to be able to, have fun and, and kind of link up and, hang out for a few hours, regardless if it's just going to go get some tacos, shoot some hoops, or, or go watch wrestling. So.
To those currently serving and to our nation's veterans, we see your bravery in answering the call to service, what it takes to serve abroad, and the challenges that come with returning home.
Let me know what photos you guys want for the people that donated as well, and I'll try to grab a couple on here. Little Ted DiBiase, Macho Man. Appreciate you, Cyberpunk.
Carolina leads this one 10-9. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Thompson alongside Tony Gonzalez, Andrew Whitworth, and Richard Sherman. So Fitz and pregame, we talked about how you wanted to see Bryce Young.
P1 Kev in the building. What's good, brother? Just doing photos for the people that have donated. The bright spot has been the defense and Pacheco. So even though the Chiefs wide receivers have underwhelmed, at least Pacheco is a beast. And the defense with Chris Jones has been amazing. Like, who would have thought that the Chiefs defense would be better than their offense? But that's what we're getting this year. But also, too, that might be, part of the reason why they may not get to the Super Bowl this year, because the offense isn't as good. Well, maybe they can turn it around. We need some more tutties. Appreciate you, Cyberpunk, with his $98 dono. All right, what else do we want to put up there, Sarah, for your donos or for Finley? Finley, what do you want to see for your Panthers? You got a favorite Panther player from back in the day or a couple of them? I can throw those up for you. You let me know what you want, and I got you. All right, I'm going to just do a couple CMCs and some Keekleys while we're waiting. Oh, Kraken scored 1-0 Kraken, baby. So fresh and so clean. Best running back in the game when he's healthy. Can run, can catch, just like Eckler. But if I had a choice between Eckler and McCaffrey, I'm going McCaffrey. His genes from his dad, Ed, are amazing. Oh, yeah, the Kenny Moore. Let me get you your Kenny Moore as well. I found a cool Panthers collage for you. That's cool. D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. That was a great 1-2 combo. And we'll get the Kenny Moore 2 pick sixes on here for you too, Sarah. I appreciate all you loyal to the soil people. You know who you are. That's when you really can, understand who's got your back and who's going to be here. Anyone can be here when things are good, when we're making $100 to $1,000 every show. But what about when we're not there? At that point, who are the people that are loyal? The people that show up on a daily basis and that are loyal are going to be the ones that get rewarded heavy from me once we get bigger. A lot of other streamers are not going to reward, the people that are supporting the same way. So magically, you'll end up having special things on your doorstep one day if you are one of those loyal people. All of a sudden, you'll open the door, open up a bag, NFL shop, jersey, Mitchell and Ness. Oh, it's Orion. It's his gift. He's the man. Lamar Jackson in the division leading Baltimore Ravens. Coverage started at 7 p.m. So Fitz, early thoughts on this game. And of course, you have the Bengals, which are 1-3. They rattle off 4 wins. Lamar Jackson has the best completion percentage in the league. What are your early thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I think we all had this one circled when the schedule came out, and it's going to live up to the billing. We're really looking forward to it. I know that Witt is probably going for them Bengals, but I mean, when you look at the winning formula for football teams, we've got The best scoring defense in the NFL with Baltimore and the best rushing per game offense in the NFL in Baltimore.
Oh, baby.
Throw Lamar Jackson onto that. I'm feeling
Kenny Moore's 2 pick sixes, and that's from that game, too.
see Todd, I played with it. Todd Monken and his 9 weeks with Lamar in this offense.
Yeah, that rushing attack of the Ravens right now, Gus Edwards right now, my God, he's playing some phenomenal football. But Joe Burrow is hitting his stride right now. You can tell.
Found his stride, healthy.
Yeah, being healthy. He is something phenomenal right now. This offense looks unstoppable.
It's going to be a great one. You know what else is great? When you combine Andrew Whitworth and Jason Kelsey and you go to a famous Chicago.
Come on, Colts. I don't know why that logo keeps doing that. Logo is supposed to be with no box behind it, but for whatever reason, that box only comes up for the Colts one. It doesn't do it for any other logo. Come on, Colts logo. I don't need no box behind you. You got to make it transparent. No boxes allowed.
Just watch football this season. Cherish it. Bet $5, get $150 bonus to get team wins.
And I got a cool team one here.
America's #1 sports book.
Anything else that anybody wants, just holler. Just trying to get some photos up for the people that donated. Pass some time. Ooh, look at that. That's a cool one. Swag, 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 swag. Let me delete these.
I don't know, Jacob State Farm.
But just imagine my homes and my auto. Best bundle in the league, baby.
Man, why can't Patrick change his name? It could be Kelsey, and Kelsey, how much you could save by bundling home and auto.
Yeah, even the Mitchell and Ness stuff that's not like jerseys, they have like high-end beanies, high-end t-shirts, and like you can tell like the quality is there, you know what I mean? Like my Ken Griffey Jr. Hat backwards player image shirt is Mitchell and Ness, you know, from Seattle, and you know, of course it's going to be more expensive. Like if you get a Mitchell and Ness t-shirt, it's probably going to be like $40, but it'll be worth it if it's got like a cool image on the front of it and it's through Mitchell and Ness. So you know, a lot of this stuff is a little bit more expensive, like 10 or 15 bucks more, but depending on what it is, it can be worth it. You know, I got a couple beanies that are Mitchell and Ness. I got a blazer one that's really fire. You can definitely tell the stitching and the quality is better. So, you know, compared to a standard like Nike or Reebok or, you know, whatever NFL, you know, regular one. So. A little J Stew from Lacey, Washington.
Thursday night football. I love Thursday night football, bro. Thursday night football, man. You know you got it. See everything that we just got. Nice run. Starting to sign the tasty roll away.
Oh, J Stew. I got a fire action shot of J Stew too. All right, start of the third quarter. That bought us a little bit of time. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Look at that fire one. That's with Legion of Boom and whatnot. Earl Thomas the third there. Let me dive over the top. That's sick. I might be a Bucks fan, but I can still appreciate greatness. Swag, swag, swag. Yeah, Caitlin Clark is unreal. She's going to break every fucking college record imaginable. I mean, I you know, it's funny too. It's like I know more of the college girls than the men. You know, like Haley Van Lith and the like Paige Buekas and Caitlin Clark. Like, how the hell do I know more of the women in college hoops than I do men? But you know, they're just better. They're better players. I'm just gonna go where the talent is, and I know there's gonna be some decent, you know, men's on the college level, but there's some amazing talent, there on the college level for the females the last 2-3 years. I mean, hell, I enjoyed watching the female tournament last year more than the men's. And I'm not really into female women's basketball or WNBA, but when it ends up, being in the tourney, especially if you got people that are going to change the game like Sabrina Ionescu from Oregon, that definitely sparked my interest a little bit more in watching a little bit more. I mean, I watched, WNBA when it first came out with Rebecca Lobo and Cynthia Cooper and Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson. So I don't even know how the hell I remember all those names, but I got like a Sheldon Big Bang Theory, steel trap of a brain. It's like once I watch it, I remember it, But the females for college hoops in the last 3 years and beyond, they're starting to build something special. You're getting more talented female ballers than we've ever seen. Like, we're going to have like a 5-year stretch where you're going to have like 10 of the top players in the WNBA that are either in the league now or going to be in the league soon. Bryce, hands off. Sanders, gain of nothing.
He's had some injuries to work through here after that big year last year.
It's hard for Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard to get anything off the ground when the line stinks. They need to get better offensive linemen. Better offensive linemen, more points. You're going to look much better. And they also need a true number one. Thielen needs to be the number 2 receiver, not the number 1. So give it a few years, and we'll see where we're at in year 2 and year 3. Bryce going deep. Incomplete. Any flags? No flags. He put on the seatbelt.
They try to go after him. You see Eddie Jackson just kind of trying to play games with the quarterback, just kind of sit there as a robber in case he's going to throw it over the middle. He likes to go to that one-on-one matchup. He thinks he's got a chance here. But Marshall is known again, little stutter and go to go downfield with tight coverage that time.
Golden Knights, they're good. Avalanche, they're good too.
Johnny Hecker's 4th point.
4th down and 9.
You have a flag here. That's the play clock was double zeros.
No, she's going to be putting up 40, 50-point games all the time. Like I said, she's going to get to a point where she's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, and she's going to be putting up monster numbers, not only in the regular season, but in the tourney too. She's just on another level compared to most of the girls that are in college hoops right now, besides the Paige Bueckas and the Haley Van Lifts and a few of the others that are right there with her. There's like 5 to 9 of the females that are just like ridiculous, but between those 5 to 9, there's like 3 or 4 that are much better than everyone else. And she's definitely at the top.
He just looked like he's been a little bit out of sync with his footwork. Hasn't been as comfortable as we've seen in recent weeks. Other man underneath. You see the frustration there from DJ Moore. Now, I'm more than willing to cut this guy some slack. He's playing against his defense. He's making his 4th start. This guy was the 4th quarterback in camp, undrafted, just trying to figure things out. And now here he is in for Justin Fields making his 4th start. Beat Las Vegas a good first 3 quarters last week before the wheels came off. Deontay Fuller, we talked about the fact that a very interesting guy, born and raised in West Virginia. There it is, his last 10 opponents. Take a look at that. Including Slippery Rock, Colorado School of Mines, and then he goes to the Vikings, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Saints, and the Panthers. School of Mines, and then his first look is the Minnesota Vikings. Sure. That's a heck of a jump. That may be a new world record, that jump. Transition.
Oh, nice.
2nd down and 8.
Shotgun set. Blitz.
Has to get it away.
Nice hit. Foreman with the short gain. So what do you think, Sarah? Are you going to win in fantasy this week? You going to go for 3 wins in a row? Try to get on a heater? I'm gonna do a risk. I'm not doing the safe route against Reflect. If he's got a lot of his guys that are out, I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna go Dobbs and Taysom Hill. I'm gonna go Dobbs over Sam Howell and Kyler Murray since I don't have access to Mahomes. Going deep and complete. And obviously with Taysom Hill also, I could be safe and I could put Evans, Laporta, or Najee. All three of those are safer than considering, what most people think with Dobbs and Taysom Hill. But if you look at Dobbs and Taysom Hill's numbers, those two guys can actually get you 20 points or more. The others, not so much, except for maybe Laporta can put up like a 19 and a couple tutties. He's done 19 twice in the last month, but on the road, he's not as good as at home. So I look at that stat as well. And I already got fucking Amon-Ra and Montgomery. I don't know if I want to play three fucking players in my lineup from one team. So nice tackle, Bears. Wow. We'll see how it goes. But I got Dobbs, Rachaad White, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen, Mark Andrews, Taysom Hill, Jets D, and Dustin Hopkins, number one kicker. Your boy always finds those kickers. Even though I had Maher and Moody, I still was able to maneuver and find Hopkins, and now he's the number one kicker in the NFL, and I'm going to keep him the rest of the year. My bench is better than most of the people's teams. On my bench, this is ridiculous. Patrick Mahomes, Mike Evans, Sam Laporta, Najee Harris, Sam Howell, Kyler Murray, Lions D, Jay Jetta, Justin Jefferson. Reflect in the building. What's good? 10-9. Panthers cracking up, or they were up 1-0. I got to be able to check to see what we got going on here. Let's take a look. Of course I did. I blocked the shit out of you. I'm not going to let you fucking beat me with a Dobbs and Taysom Hill. If you would have actually put in the request on the wire, you might have been able to get one of them. So I was like, well, if you're not going to do the make the moves, I'm going to do it, or I'm going to try to do everything I can. But I ended up picking up Kyler a week before, so you had no chance there because I was already looking ahead. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to scoop up Dobbs too. And I already had Howell, so I'm going to scoop up. I never run four quarterbacks, but I got to do whatever it takes to beat you. I'm not going to let you get Dobbs and fucking Taysom Hill, and then you insert them in the lineup, and then you end up beating me. Fuck that. I ain't letting that shit happen. I'm trying to win first place. So, and if that means that, yeah, I figured you were sleeping and you forgot or whatever, but you would have been able to get one of those pieces. I probably would have got Taysom Hill, but you would have been able to get Dobbs if you wanted, but I'm not sure if you would have went for Dobbs. Dobbs has a Saints, and he has a red lineup. So, but essentially those guys can get me 20 points, and that's what I look for, and I already know that with like Sam Howell, he's projected for 17, but he's going against at Seattle. So he's not going to get 20 to 30 points at Seattle. He might put up 15 to 17, in my opinion. So yeah, there is possibility that Howell goes for 20 or 30, but I don't think so. So I would assume Seattle will win the game, but Washington will throw, but maybe they get a pick or two on Howell. And then Kyler, it's his first game. I don't know if I trust him playing, and Mahomes has a bye. So for what you did with the running backs, I'm going to do with the quarterbacks. I'm not going to let anyone else. I'm not going to let anyone else have one. And that's not just you. That's everyone else. Everyone else is going to be looking for quarterbacks, and that's why you got stuck with Heineke, and you got stuck with Pitts. It's the best that was left, you can get Purdy and Pickett, they're Minshew, Mac Jones, but it doesn't look very sexy. I got all the sexy off the lineup, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep all four, for the rest of the year. But I'm definitely going to hang on to him because I can't trust Mahomes. If Mahomes was playing like normal Mahomes, you probably would have been able to scoop up a couple of those guys if you wanted to. But since Mahomes is not trustworthy, I'm going to have to go extreme. And what's my weakest position? Quarterback. So there it is. And I saw the value with Taysom Hill too. He in the last month, he's been putting up heaters as a catcher, a runner, and a thrower. So why wouldn't I, get Taysom Hill also? So that way I have 3 of the top 10 tight ends. Ooh, nice catch. And I got 3 of the top 10 quarterbacks. And then I got one that will probably play like a top 10 quarterback the rest of the year in Kyler. So, you never know who you might have to have, at the end of the year. And if that means I can block everyone else in the league from trying to beat me, or if they have injuries, then fuck it. So be it. You got the running backs. I got the quarterbacks. And I was going to pick up Taysom last week. And I was like, well, I don't really need him. I have Laporta. Now, if I didn't have Laporta, I would have got him like 3 weeks ago. But, if you're going to be putting up back-to-back 20-point games, eventually I'm going to pick you up. I'm not going to let you just sit there. And I actually was shocked that no one picked up Dobbs or Taysom. A lot of the people in the league were sleeping. I was like, I can't believe that. But again, it's either you watch all the other teams play and you read and you watch film, or you don't. And, if people are sleeping on Dobbs and sleeping on, Taysom Hill, then, someone like Reflect or me or someone else is going to scoop them up. And that's what I did. So, and I'm going to use them too. So, yeah, of course, and like I said, I'm taking a risk this week because I figured, I'm playing you and you don't have a lot of your main guys. So I'm going to go Dobbs and I'm going to go Taysom Hill. And if they don't, hit, then, if Sam Howell and Kyler Murray outperform Dobbs, so be it. But Dobbs gives me the best chance to run for a touchdown, get 50 yards on the ground, and to be able to throw for 2 touchdowns. I can't say that Sam Howell can do that on the ground. And Kyler might be able to, but I don't know what his health status is going to look like. And then Mahomes has a bye, right? And then obviously on my flex, Laporta, Najee, and Mike Evans are reliable. They can get me 12 points, but can they get me 20? Probably not, but Taysom can. And same thing with Dobbs. So I'm banking on Dobbs getting me 20 and Hill getting me 20. So I'm going to go Dobbs, Rashad White, Montgomery on his first game back to get me 20 to 30. Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen, Mark Andrews, Taysom Hill at my flex, Jets D, and Hopkins. And then my bench is an all-star team. Patrick Mahomes, Mike Evans, Sam Laporta, Najee Harris, Sam Howell, Kyler Murray, Detroit D, and Jefferson. And I picked Detroit D ahead of time because I looked at the schedule and I looked at my Jets D to see what weeks were bad. And there was only one team that I could pick up for defense that both of us have had. We both have had the Cleveland Browns. You have them now, but the Detroit D is playing the Chargers this week. I didn't pick them for now, right? I picked them for the future, right? And every week that the Jets have a bad matchup, the Lions have a green matchup that will be good. So the Lions put up 8 on the Kansas City, 16 on the Falcons, 11 on Green Bay, 9 against Tampa, 14 against the Raiders. I wasn't going to play them this week, but on the weeks that I'm gonna, they have the Bears week 11, the Packers week 12, the Bears again week 14, and then the Broncos week 15, right? And then Minnesota week 16. And so pretty much every week, that I looked ahead, no other defense on the wire was going to be able to supplement me with the Jets because with the Jets, I could roll with them. Like they play the Raiders this week, but then it goes Jets play Buffalo, red matchup, week 11. Week 12, the Jets play the Dolphins. I can't play them then, right? So I had to look for something in the advance. Week 13, they play the Falcons. I guess I could play them there. And then week 14, they play Houston, the Texans, a red matchup with CJ. And then in the playoffs, the Jets, week 1, the Dolphins. So I can't play the Jets D against Tua and Waddle, especially if I have to play against you. So sometimes you have to look ahead in the schedule. And I looked ahead, and that's why instead of getting another awesome running back or another awesome wide receiver, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna hold on, and I'm just gonna be like, fuck it. I'm gonna drop one of my guys, Cortland Sutton, who's scored a touchdown like 6 out of 8 games, right? But I don't need them because I already have wide receiver depth. I'm going to grab the Lions now. They're projected for 3.9. I'm not going to use them against the Chargers, but then next week, I'll be able to go back and forth with the Lions and the Jets, and that's how you win a championship. Normally, I'll stick to, 1 or 2 defenses, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, but no other defense on the wire. There's no Cleveland Brown defense there waiting for me. So the next best thing, was the Lions, which you had and I had early in the season as well. And I said, you know what? I better grab them 1 week early because if I wait and I have that Cortland Sutton pick and then all of a sudden Detroit D is number 1, number 2, number 3 on the wire, I'm not going to be able to get them. And then I'm going to be fucked with the Jets defense going into the playoffs against Reflect and King Money. So sometimes you got to look ahead 2 to 3 weeks in advance. And if you do, that'll give you a better chance to win a championship. I got to step my game up when I'm going against people like Reflect and King. I can't just sit there and be cocky and think the Jets D is going to be good enough. I mean, which they could be. The Jets D could maybe still get me 10 points against the Dolphins, but probably not, But if I can have the Bears twice with the Lions D, the Packers, who are booty cheeks, and then the fucking Broncos. I mean, what would you rather do? Roll the dice with the Jets going against a good team like a good offense like Buffalo or Miami a couple times, or just substitute the Lions a week early, have them sitting there, and then I can maybe still get 10 to 14 points, with the Lions D on the weeks that the Jets have a tough matchup. Trying to win this championship, you feel me? But there's still no guarantee. First down, Bears. I'm just trying to teach people how to get it done. You know what I mean? But again, if the Jets had good matchups the rest of the way, I would have rolled with them the whole way, all the way to the end, because they have a top 5, top 6 defense. I would have but when I looked ahead in the schedule, I said, ew. I was like, Buffalo, Houston, Miami. I was like, goddamn. I was like, as good as the Jets defense has been, you'd be crazy to roll the dice if there was something else there. And especially if something is sitting there as good as the Lions or like the Browns, you got to grab them, because if you want to be able to give yourself the best shot, And I was like, thank God there was at least another defense there, and if there wasn't, then I would have to, hold on, and wait for someone to drop something. So, yep. Yeah, but your Browns defense is so good, a majority of the way that even if you go against Burrow or anybody else, I mean, their defense, it's like if you got Ravens defense, you got Browns defense. I mean, if you look at the lowest the Browns have done is like fucking 8. That's like on a bad game, but when they hit good, they hit, usually 12 to 24. So it's like, okay. So, I mean, if your shit game is a fucking 8, that's going to be a good game for 90% of the league. They're praying to get to 8 to 10, and you're getting there with a bad performance. That's when your defense is legit. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, 10 or more is ideal, but if you're low is like an 8 or maybe like a 7, but then you're good is 10 to 24, yeah. But again, if the Jets had better matchups late, I was just going to roll with one defense the rest of the way and then give myself more depth at running back and wide receiver. But it sounds like Jay Jetta will be coming back pretty soon, and Montgomery's already back. So here I come. You guys were able to, beat me up for a month. I haven't had Jay Jetta and Montgomery for a month, and some of y'all were able to beat up on me, but not anymore. Here I come. Getting hot and healthy at the right time. Almost a touchdown. What happened to my hands? Yes, it did. And I had them earlier in the year, and I wanted to hang on to them, but I couldn't. I had more needs, but I almost regret letting them go because I knew as soon as I let a team like that go, someone like you would scoop them up and then use that against me or use it for your advantage. I knew how good they were. I had them. I wouldn't roster someone that wasn't good. I look at their, numbers throughout the year. I was like, oh, wow, they look good. I'm going to keep them, but I could only keep them for so long. Reflect with a 5. Foreman, touchdown, Bears. Reflect with a 5. Thank you, Mang. I appreciate you. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. And sometimes, you can be safe in fantasy, but sometimes you got to take risks, It's like the smart move for me would be to start Sam Howell, right? And then to put Mike Evans in, or, Sam Laporta or Najee. The risky moves is Dobbs against the Saints defense and fucking Taysom Hill. But again, if I end up getting 40 points combined out of Dobbs and Taysom, then I'm going to win. But if I don't, then maybe Reflect will win. So sometimes you got to take a risk, someone that gives you a better chance to get to 20 points or more. And I like Dobbs running I like dual threats. Like when Justin Fields, was going for 20 to 45 points and he was getting those points off the ground, I had him. I had Geno, Herbert, and him, right? And I see kind of like a little bit of Justin Fields last year in Dobbs. And Dobbs was able to get 20 points a couple times with the fucking Cardinals. So if he's able to do that, just imagine what Dobbs is going to be able to do with Minnesota. So I think that Dobbs and Taysom Hill are the biggest dual threats the rest of the way. And I'm going to be very honest. If Dobbs and Taysom keep playing well, I will play them in my lineup all the way to the championship if I get there. I will bench Patrick Mahomes for Dobbs if I need to. And I know most people would be like, no, you won't. Watch me. I will. You know, if fucking Dobbs keeps up putting 20 points or more every week, I will bench him, Patrick Mahomes, for Josh Dobbs. I will. NASA, all day, every day. Rocket scientist. He's smart. I believe in him, right? And if Taysom Hill keeps putting up, 15 to 20 points, I will play him over Sam Laporta and Mike Evans. I'll do it. I have no problem. As long as they keep putting up numbers, I will take a chance. So, yeah. I had Dobbs on my radar 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I picked up Kyler a week in advance, even though he wasn't playing. And then Dobbs goes off for another 20-point game. I was like, motherfucker, I was an idiot. I should have done it. But then I wasn't going to let that opportunity slip away. But Dobbs has hit 25 against the Giants, 23 at the Niners. Great defense, right? 23 against Baltimore, number 1 D, and then 25 against Atlanta. So I'm already sold because Dobbs has done it against 2 of the top 5 defenses at that time. So if you can already do it like that with the fucking Cardinals, now you go to the fucking the Vikings and you put up a 25. And the major thing is, the reason I love Dobbs so much is that he's got 4 rushing touchdowns on the ground, right? He's got 7 for 43 against Seattle, 6 for 26 and a tutty against Baltimore, number 1 defense, and then 7 for 66 and a tutty against the fucking Falcons. Like, you have to look at those stats, and if you're not seeing those stats, then you're like, oh, Joshua Dobbs, he's just, a guy. He's garbage. And then you actually look at the stat line. He is the 10th ranked quarterback in fantasy. Got to grab him. Right? Every move that I make, you would make. And everybody you got on your team, I would have. So, like I said, I feel we're kind of sharing the same kind of brain, Now it sucks. But back when he played him, it didn't. Back when he played him early in the season, the Niner D was, top 3. So. Oh, you're making the playoffs. They've had you and me projected to win the league back and forth. Either I'm number 1 or I'm number 2, or I'm number 1 or it's either you or me based off the ESPN projections. They actually haven't had Foking ahead of us, even though sometimes he puts up the numbers, but now they see with Montgomery and Jay Jetta, I think that they're seeing, that what our teams are built like. So. And the Joshua Dobbs has got a chance to, he could actually score on the ground twice like Justin Fields. And I don't know if you could say that for anyone else. And I really like Taysom Hill right now, too, because they're utilizing him as part of the offense, not just a gimmick guy, because if he was just going to be that random guy that would put up 15 to 20 every 4 weeks, I wouldn't have picked him. But 4 straight weeks in a row of dominating and actually being in the lineup as a runner, a thrower, and a pass catcher. Like, he literally is the most Swiss Army knife type of player in the NFL. There is no one like him. So I was an idiot not picking him up last week, and then I was hoping that I was going to get him this week, and I was 1 ahead of you on the priority. So when I ended up getting Dobbs and Taysom Hill, I knew people in the league were sleeping. I was like, something happened. Because it's one thing for me to get Taysom Hill over you, but then I figured the only reason that you wouldn't have gotten Dobbs is that he had a red matchup against the Saints, and you have Jalen Hurts the rest of the way, so you don't give a shit. But for me, I'll play lower name guys. I don't care benching Mahomes. If Mahomes is not doing me anything, I'll play Kyler Murray. I'll play Sam Howell. I'll play Joshua Dobbs. I have no fear. 2-1 Kraken. Let's go. Shotgun set. Bryce. There we go. First down, Panthers. Good game. Better than the Chargers and the Jets. It's the first mistake that you've made all year. Like when I dropped Ramondre Stevenson, that's really the only mistake I think I've made this year. I should have kept him, and I was already thin at running back, but I was like, I gave him a goddamn month, it's like, but sometimes you got to give a guy, I guess, a month and a half, or look at your depth and see that, what? Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson might be putting up 4 to 8 points, but eventually he will put up 10 to 20. You have to be patient, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm extremely patient. Sometimes I'm not, But even though I haven't really had any good running backs besides David Montgomery, I'm still able to manufacture a team good enough to keep up with the big boys. Teams that have better running backs than me. So, like Foking and, with Gibbs and ETN and with your stud running backs that you got. Reflect. But we'll see if my wide receiver strategy will come true. And again, if I can have Montgomery as my one, and if Rachaad White can start playing like I thought he was going to play when I drafted him, I won't have to worry because my Montgomery and Rachaad White will match anyone's total that anyone else has. I'll be able to, match the production. I might be able to get 35 or 40 points out of my two guys, compared to the two elites that the other guys have. So. And also, if Gibbs comes back, he's not going to be putting up as big of numbers for Foking. He'll get mad numbers out of ETN, but then the Gibbs, he might not play, because, if you're not going to be getting 15 to 20 carries out of Gibbs and Montgomery is going to be getting, 20 carries, you could still get maybe to 10 to 15 points with Gibbs, but it's a risk, especially if Montgomery puts up 20 to 35, which is I'm hoping for. Oh, Thielen, what happened to my hands? I mean, you just got to look at the depth. Look up the benches. If you look at a bench of someone's team in fantasy and it literally would beat half of the league, or it was like one of the best teams as a bench, then you got two starting units. That's when you know your team is top notch. When you look at the bench and it's like, Jesus Christ, is this another starting lineup? And if the answer is yes, then the other teams are screwed. So, Achan, yeah. We'll have to see what happens with him when he comes back and if he re-aggravates the injury or not. And I had Jeff Wilson for a couple of weeks anticipating they would give him a lot of looks, but he still hasn't really been able to get the football in the right situation. He's not worth a fantasy roster spot, so I dropped him. But I was thinking, maybe Jeff Wilson could give me 10 to 15, and that could be another running back depth piece, but nope. And sometimes you got to get rid of the guys and just keep moving it forward, so. Yeah, true that. But it could go into your advantage, though, because since they can't fucking throw the football, that maybe they'll go heavy to Breece and heavy to Saquon. If they stay healthy, they could get 15 to 20 points. But also there's going to be games where they shit the bed and they put up 8, and if that happens, you may lose. And you know that. So you have to be very careful with your running backs on who you decide to play if you're going to go RB1, RB2, and then flex running back, or if you decide to go RB1, RB2, and you decide to go wide receiver in your flex, but you have to have trust, in your guys that they're playing well to do that. But with the running backs that you have, chances are you're not going to ever throw a wide receiver in your flex. You're going to throw a running back there. So, I mean, it's pretty much what I did last year. I mean, I did Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, and Saquon, and I never touched it. I pretty much just let those 3 spots all year, and I knew that, and I had 3 of the top 4, and I went 13-1. You know what I mean? But again, I was blessed that Saquon didn't get hurt last year, and I rolled the dice, and it worked out for me. You know what I mean? But again, Saquon, when healthy, can get you 15 to 25, but when he's banged up or other guys are banged up, then, sometimes it'll be 8 to 12, but sometimes that'll be worth, enough for you to win. So. Thielen's got to catch it, bro. But I like my lineups, you know what I mean? I like my flexibility now. Dobbs, Mahomes, Sam Howell, Kyler Murray. There's no excuse. I mean, I guess unless I pick the wrong one, which is very possible if you have 4 fucking quarterbacks, which I've never done before. This is the first year I've ever had 4. But again, I can't trust Pat. So what am I going to do? I got to be able to block and I got to have options, I only got 3 running backs on the squad, which is the least amount I've ever had. I only have Rachaad White, David Montgomery, and Najee Harris. So if I'm able to win the championship with that, then, it'll prove to people that you can win a championship without running backs. You know what I mean? If I only have 3. So. And honestly, if I didn't have Jay Jetta and Montgomery get hurt, I think I would be undefeated right now. Or I'd have one loss, the loss there I had all my guys on a bye. But I wouldn't have lost the week after that. But it is what it is. Sometimes you got to get your L's out of the way. Final projection has gone back and forth with me. I was number 1, then I went to number 2, then I was number 1 for pretty much the whole year. Currently, today, right now, Reflect is number 1, and they have me number 2. And then they have Foking at number 3. And they have Chief Will Chief at 4. That's where they have the rankings based off, today. And that's based off roster and, moving forward. Put Matt Payton on the fantasy team. I'm not sure if I got room for Matt Payton on my fantasy team, man. I mean, unless you're going to be putting up 20 points a game for me, brother. I mean, unless you can put up better numbers than Jay Jetta, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen, and Mike Evans. But I don't know. Maybe you can put up Mike Evans numbers, but you ain't putting up Jay Jetta numbers or Amon-Ra or Keenan Allen. Maybe you get a bench spot on my team, but maybe not starting, brother. I know. I got a higher percentage, but they like you as the number one, but it bounces back and forth based off roster and maybe, moving forward. So I don't know how they calculate that, but that's how they calculate it. Yeah, I'm watching it. 2-1 Kraken against the Avalanche. It's some good shit. I've been watching the whole game. I got it on the computer right now too. 16-10, the Bears. It's actually been a better game than the Chargers and the Jets. Handoff. First down, Bears. Bear down. How much projected? Well, first we have to know what team you're on, right, in the NFL, right? I got to figure out that. And then if you're playing wide receiver, if that's your position. So I got to figure out what team you're on, right? If you're just like a free agent that's not signed, I got to know what team you're on, and I got to know what position would I assume would be wide receiver. So first down and 10. Play action fake. Pump fake. Short gain from Bajent. So far, so good, but we got to be able to hang on to the leads. That's the problem. So hopefully we can get to a point where we can hang on to the lead in the third period. But I love the energy that we've got so far with the 2-1 lead against Colorado on the road, too. It'd be a big win considering things haven't really gone our way this year. RB and wide receiver. Ooh, 19.5. That's a lot. Shit, if Matt Payton was projected for 19.5, he might be in my lineup. It's like I can't really trust Mike Evans, and that's why I'm waiting for Jay Jetta to come back because I want Jay Jetta, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen. I don't want to have to play Mike Evans. Like every once in a while, Mike Evans will put up a 20 or 30, but a lot of times it's just going to be like 7 to 12, and that doesn't cut it for me. At that point, I would rather put in Laporta or Najee or someone else like Taysom Hill. And that's what I'm doing. I'm putting Taysom over Mike Evans. I'm putting Taysom over Laporta. I'm putting Taysom over Najee. So it's like kind of risky, but, Taysom has put up a back-to-back 20, and they're using him on purpose. First down, Bears. Move the chains. I just got to hope that Dobbs puts up a 20 and Taysom puts up a 20. Unless I decide to flip it at the very end. Because, I know I can get a guaranteed 15 to 17 out of Howell. And I know I can get Laporta. I can get 12 out of him, 12 out of Najee, and 12 out of Mike Evans. But sometimes you want to go more than just 12. I want 15 to 20. Who's got the best chance to give me that? Can Sam Howell and Kyler get me to 20? Yeah. But they also can get me 15 too. Oh, flag on the play. Pass interference. DJ Moore. Oh, my. I know. I was going to pick him up last night, and I saw that you picked him up, but I don't have a need for him. Because even if I got him, he would just be sitting on my bench. And I already had to drop Cortland Sutton for Detroit defense, which I didn't want to do. But I figured if I don't do it now, while they're a shit defense, projected 3, red, going against the Chargers, once they become green next week against, like, the Bears and they're projected number 1 on the wire, I'm not going to get them. So sometimes you got to sacrifice now for the future. But I was never going to play Cortland Sutton ever. It was just emergency depth. So even though he's scored like 6 out of 8 games, it's like you're only putting up like 10 to 14 points. Shit, I can get that somewhere else. I like consistency, but again, Russell Wilson to Cortland Sutton, it's like it's a cool piece to have as an emergency. But if I already have Jetta, Evans, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen, where the hell am I going to play Cortland Sutton? It's just a nice flashy rim on my Escalade. It's like, am I actually going to use him? Probably not. Even if he had a green matchup, I would trust my other guys over him. Uh-oh. Bad punt. Oh, my. What kind of punt was that? That was an O-Dog punt. Shanked. Shank dog. Oh, Panthers are about to take the lead. Well, obviously, Matt Payton went to Oregon, and Oregon's playing USC this weekend, so that's going to be awesome. And then if Matt Payton is in the league, then you would have to be either on the Broncos or the Packers. So it'd have to be one of those teams. Yeah, too bad, Purdy can't be trusted, though. Like, if this was Ayuk at the beginning of the year, then obviously it's one thing, but. And then once Debo comes back, there may be more looks or less looks. We don't know. But if Purdy is playing average to below average, then the value isn't there. But if Purdy gets back to where he was, then there may be a 15 to 30 point performance for Ayuk at some point. I'm not an idiot. I know that. I was looking as soon as Megan dropped him. I knew you and me were looking at him. I was like, ooh. I was like, I know there are not very many people would pick him up besides the people that are at the top. So I was like, either Fo King Money, me, or Reflect are going to grab him. And as soon as I woke up at like 5, 6 in the morning and I saw that you picked him up, I laughed because I was like, I was thinking about doing it kind of like you did with Taysom and Joshua Dobbs. But I was like, well, I have more needs right now. And I was like, do I want to grab the Detroit D now? Or do I just want to have a flashy wide receiver on my bench and then get screwed next week by just trying to roll with the Jets all the way to the championship? And I was like, the Jets have way too many hard matchups. And I was like, and then I looked at the Lions and I was like, Jesus Christ, Bears, right? Green Bay, Bears, Broncos. I was like, this is too good to be true. And every matchup that the Detroit had the green, right? It was like the Jets had a red. I was like, this is perfect. Like the sports gods are lining this up for me. All I have to do is just do the research. So. Oh, very cool. But I got to make sure Aiden Hutchinson stays healthy. But if Aiden goes down, then that whole Lions theory that I have goes out the window. But if everything goes good, I should be able to get 10 points or more every week. And so I should be able to keep it moving where every week I have the Jets and the Lions. I'm going to get my 10 points or more on defense. And if that's the case, that'll help me against you and Fo King and anyone else, because I can't be putting up 6s and 7s in fantasy defense. I got to be hitting 10 to 20. I don't know, man. I went 13-1 last year, and I lost to fucking Shep that went like 8-6. He was like number 4. I was number 1, and I lost by 0.5. He needed to get a fucking catch at the end of the game. It was literally the last play of the game, last play. And all he needed to do is get like one catch out of like DJ Moore, and he fucking got it. It was like towards the end of the game in garbage time. And it was like, if he got a catch of 6 yards, then I was going to lose. And it's exactly what happened. And I lost by 0.5. So, even though I could dominate all year and go 13-1, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're going to win a championship. But technically, we didn't even have a championship last year because of DeMar Hamlin. Shepard had Burrow, Mixon, and T. Higgins. And then when that happened, the game got canceled. So Jake wanted to be like, oh, I won. I was like, no, we don't have a winner. I was like, just imagine if you had 3 of your 9 and those 3 guys were putting up 70 to 90 points every week. And then all of a sudden you don't have the 3. I can't count you the winner, And then he started mouthing off to me and then we gave him the boot. So, he's like, you're just mad because you weren't in the championship. I was like, that has nothing to do with it. I was like, imagine if you had Burrow and Mixon and Higgins and those 3 out of the 9 guys in your lineup are putting up 70 to 90 points. And then you don't have that as an option. Then you're going to feel cheated. And you know what I mean? So don't act like you just won because you can't put yourself in Shep's shoes. So, I mean, pretty much Shep, I don't want to say Shep was the winner, but, we didn't have a winner last year. It was the first year that we didn't have one. So, yeah, but it shows you can be a 3 or a 4 seed and literally be 7-7, 8-5, and beat teams that are 14-0 or 13-1. I mean, I haven't won the championship in this league in 3 years or 4 years. So it's, I do the most moves. I work the hardest, but it doesn't mean that I get rewarded at the end. I've literally made 101 moves, 50 or 60 or 70 more than any other team, right? That's in our league, but that doesn't guarantee that I'm going to win every year. It's like the Yankees. They got all the money, but it's not like they're winning a World Series every year, A lot of times it comes down to matchups, not your talent. You know, it's like, how many red matchups do you have in the playoffs? And if you have a lot of matchups within the division, like let's say you have Seahawks players and you're going against a Niner D and they're top 3 D, you might be fucked. Like, you know what I mean? That's what happened to me. It's like, oh, you got like Lockett and DK, but then you're going against Niner D and then they put up like a 6 and an 8. Oh, I lost. You know, because then if it's best of 2 weeks and I'm already down 20, what are the chances that I have a monster week that I win by 60 and I can make up the difference? It probably won't happen. You know, so you have to be good in both weeks, you know, unless you have like a close week and then you have that, oh my God, week in week 2, or you have an, oh my God, week in week 1 where you hit like 180 points. But if you lose week 1 and you have a shitty week 1 in the playoffs, you're done. And that's what happened to me. I wasn't able to recover from my week 1 performance because I had too many rivalry matchups, you know, Seahawks going against Niners, Vikings going against Green Bay, you know, whatever it may be, Giants players, Saquon going against Dallas D. Thanks a lot, whoever wrote that schedule. But that's the main reason that I lose in the playoffs is that I have too many red. You know, on one of the matchups in that week 1, I shit you not, I had 8 red out of 9, you know, and there was nothing I could do. There was nobody on my bench that I could put in that was going to be better. You know, everything was just red, 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 red. That's hard to win, you know. I felt cheated a little bit. Like I didn't even get to win the championship going 13-1, you know, dominated the whole league. And the only loss that I had is when I had 5 guys out of my 9 or 6 that had a bye, you know, all on the same week or injured, you know, so, and I've lost every week, every year because of that. I haven't been able to recover from it, even though I've been prepping weeks in advance, still not good enough. And I still end up losing, but fantasy's tough. It's a little bit of skill. You have to have a good top 5 draft, but it really does come down to luck at the end of the year. All right, Reflect. Have a good night, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah. Maddie did. Yeah. Finally. Did you email Hack? Did you shoot him a text message? You must have. Be like, what's going on with Maddie? He's like, don't worry about it. He's going to score. And then boom, shakalaka against the Avalanche. And a power play goal. Even better. We suck at the power play. And Maddie sucked this year so far. And now, yeah, maybe that'll be like a springboard event for him. And now we can get him back on track. And it's not like Maddie has been terrible. It's just that, you know, we need him to assist. We need him to, you know, get good shots on goal if we want to win games. And that was kind of one of the missing pieces on our team. So good to hear. That makes me excited. Oh, you FaceTimed him. Good. Shit, I would have FaceTimed him too. Be like, Hack, something needs to change. I mean, I know we're going to be underdogs against the Avalanche, but we got to get this dub. I mean, at least the Kraken have a better chance making the playoffs as the Blazers. So I know my Blazers aren't going to make it, and the Kraken are kind of in the middle, you know, but we still got a long season. We just got to inch by inch get to 500 and go from there. Rams in the building. What's good? 4th down and 6. Shotgun set. Bryce. Tremble. Flag on the play. 1st down, Panthers. Yeah, as long as we can get the goaltending to be a little bit better and we can get our real key best players like Maddie to step up. And then when Maddie steps up, then Yamamoto will step up. And then Schwartz will step up. Schwartzy. Everyone will get going. Holding on the defense. Good. Declined. 3-2. Still in the second period. I hope we can hang on.
So what was a 1st and 30 now is a 1st down and the drive continues. Watch trying to work outside, give himself some room to work back to the inside. But this is what Bryce Young can do.
Yeah, like I said, I've had it on from the very beginning. I got it on the computer here. I'm watching. I had it on at the very start. I remembered it started at 6, and I turned it on at like 5:55. So I was like, I'm not missing any of this. Even though I thought there would be a chance that we could get beat up a little bit in this game, but At some point we got to win a big game on the road or get a little payback on Colorado. But also, too, we did beat them. So, in essence, maybe Colorado wanted to pay back on us, since we eliminated them from the playoffs last year. But at least that, we're able to hang tough with them. I'm just hoping that if, they tie it up and it ends up being 3-3, and then we go up 4-3, that we can hang on. We have to find a way to hang on to a lead. But we got Grew goaltending tonight. So instead of Joey Decord. 2nd down and 7. We're in the 4th quarter now, baby. Shotgun set for Bryce Young. Little pump fake. There we go. Miles Sanders.
So Jay Edwards makes the stop there. And in a short game, 3rd down and 6. Eagles' defense did a great job on 3rd downs. Carolina's had 10. They converted just 2 of them. See how the offensive line holds up, and if the Bears bring any pressure this time. Started the 20 to 3rd.
I would say the Bears. But I hope the Panthers score a touchdown here. 3rd down and 5. Pass drop. What happened to my hands?
You got to make this catch. Bryce Young, if he's getting pushed from the middle, he's able to get that ball around.
I want the Kraken to win. 5-4. Or 5-3.
4th and 1, he holds on to that football. Instead of 39-yard field goal attempt for Eddie Pinheiro.
Kick is up. And it's good. There we go. Yeah, I was thinking like 23-20, 2017, and there's still a possibility we might get something kind of like that. Nice field goal there. All right, I'm going to go get a drink. 1 sec.
Squish. Okay, good. Get squishy. Fingers relaxed. And squish. Wait. Thank you. Good job.
Swish the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. Right now, get a free footlong at Subway. Like the new Daily Heroes. Buy 1 footlong in the app, get 1 free. Pretty good deal. Kinda like me. Order in the Subway app today.
The Serrano lead has always been something we're proud of. It's why we show it off on our lowriders and why we wear our name on our chains. We come from people we can be proud of. From SoCal,
All right, I'm back.
Valley in Texas, to back home.
Swag.
Seeing all the places I come from, I know if it's a Serrano, it's something to be proud of.
All right, we got less than 2 minutes to go in the Kraken and Avalanche 2nd period. Kraken have been scoring more goals in the last few games, which is a good sign. We just need to get that goalie play to be a little bit better, and we need to be able to be better on the power play, which we have been, it looks like today, and then get Maddie more involved. And he scored today, so that's good. Who have gotten our 3 goals? Because I've been calling the football game and I've been watching, but I don't have the audio on. Who has scored the 3 goals for the Kraken? I mean, I can look it up on, obviously on, ESPN or NHL.com, but since you're obviously watching the game and you already know that information, let me know. Much more entertaining game, than the Chargers and the Jets. I mean, if the Jets could put up points, then that one would have been a little bit better. But, both teams are, struggling a little bit, but both are able to, gain a few big plays here and there as well. These teams match up well. So even though there may be 1 and 2 win teams, they're very similar to each other, which makes what a good game. Sportsy, Borky, Maddie? Oh, nice. Has Schwartzy been our MVP so far this year on offense? Would you say that? Overall? Seems like he's been coming to play almost every matchup, like more consistent than anyone else. I mean, obviously we love Yamamoto. We love Kyler as well being up in that lineup too, but is there who else besides Schwartzy who has been playing great for the Kraken so far this year? Is it who's got the most goals so far this year for the Kraken? Is it Schwartzy? From what, the playoffs on the NFL side? I mean, I would assume that the lowest win total that make the playoffs this year is 10. So I would assume that if you lose 8 games or more, you're screwed. So the lowest amount that you can lose is 7 throughout the year, which would mean that both of these teams are looking at a top pick. But then also the Panthers traded away their pick to the Bears. So at this moment, the Cardinals are the number 1 pick for today, and the Bears have 2nd and 3rd. So if they trade Justin Fields away and then get, Drake May, for that, and then they also pick up the best offensive lineman and maybe Maserati Marv, then they can, go that particular route. So, but then it would kind of make you wonder, where does Justin Fields go if they trade? So Jared McCann and Schwartzy up there, huh? So those are the two that have been playing the best. McCann doesn't surprise me either. We just need Yamamoto and then Maddie. So that way we have a fearsome foursome. So every game it's Schwartz, it's McCann, it's Maddie, it's Yamamoto. Then it's like game over. Then we're going to playoffs and then we're spanking people. But we need to get those 4 linked together, and we have those guys scoring almost every game or every other game. That's when we're gonna turn it up a notch. Schwartz is 3rd. Nice. How many goals does Maddie have this year? Was today his first goal of the year? Oh, I see Maddie. Nice jersey, Maddie. Hand off, right up the middle. Is that Roshan Johnson? First down, Bears. McCann, Maddie, and then Schwartz. That's ridiculous. We're this far into the season, and Maddie is like supposed to be like our golden boy, like, the guy that we build around. Obviously there's something that was going on, hurt or illness or just something off. But I'm glad it seems like he's turning the corner. Because guaranteed, if Maddie was playing better, we would be above 500. We would be towards, maybe not at the top of the division, but we wouldn't be in the middle or the bottom where we started. We would have started in the middle and climbed our way up, and maybe we'd be sitting in like 3rd or 4th in the conference right now if Maddie was on fire and complete. But it's better late than never, right? Slow start, but it's not how you start, right? It's how you finish. Oh, shit. If Maddie was doing good, how many games above 500 would we be right now? At least 2 or 3. At least. Ooh, big hit on Bajent. Jesus. Derek Braun from Auburn. I remember him. All right, 16-13. We got a hell of a game here. Much more entertaining than that Chargers-Jets game. And yeah, I mean, they might be 2 teams that have a combined 3 wins. But again, they match up, very, very close to each other, which can make a really fun football game. And it is. But most people are going to be like, oh, this sucks. You know what I mean? But it's going to be better than a lopsided matchup than that Chargers-Jets. Chargers-Jets was only good for about a quarter and a half. So, yeah. But even with him being known for slow starts, this start this year was much slower than anyone anticipated. I don't think any of us anticipated it being this slow. Like a little bit slow, that's one thing, but it's like, I mean, it's like, when are we going to get dubs? Like, what's going on here? Good tackle by the Panthers. That was like a Thomas Davis tackle. Nice job. Luke Kuechly form. All right, Bears to punt. Shots on goal 20-17. Wow, really? We have that many goals with only 17 shots on goal. God, we're killing it on the road too. I figured we would have 25 shots on goal to like 20 to them, even though we're on the road to get that many goals. That's awesome. Good shit. I like it. Kraken, we're turning the corner, it feels like. Even though we lost last game a couple days ago, we should have won that game. Went into overtime and into penalty shots and whatnot, but whatever. If we can get this dub, then that'll be good. I don't know. I talked to my dad today, and I was hoping that, we can get Ohtani on the Dodgers or the Mariners, and then we also have that other Japanese player that's coming through as well. So it's like Ohtani, that other Japanese player, Snell, and then Nola, and then JD Martinez, and then Teoscar. So, I mean, there's quite a few players. And the main reason that the Mariners didn't re-sign Teoscar is that we're trying for Ohtani to keep the money available. But then again, if Ohtani goes to the Dodgers, then I wouldn't be shocked if we get JD Martinez or Teoscar to come back to the Mariners. But that's why they haven't, decided to, give Teoscar, because we're waiting to see if maybe Shohei will choose us. So we haven't won yet, though. That's very true.
Okay, I have a play name. It's called double pump fake. I'm stronger than you. I can bench 350, and I'm a good tackle.
That's not a play name. Get a quote on Amazon for the next play. It's easy to gack up.
What about Red Zone 120? I'm good at football. I'm a good football analyst, and I open the lane better than anybody.
And then we got Ethan Holiday coming in a couple of years. It's like Matt Holiday's son, I believe, isn't it? Sarah, Matt Holiday, because everyone's got like a son, like Andrew Jones' son, and you got a lot of the people that I grew up watching. They have freaking sons that are like coming up into the league, or they're in the league, or they're going to be coming in the league either this year, next year, or the following year. Wild. I'm enjoying the game, actually. I mean, I love the NFL so much, I don't even care who's playing. I would rather watch any NFL team matchup than any NBA game. This is how it goes. Like you can give me Warriors and Lakers, and I would rather do this game. It's just like the NBA is nowhere near what it was. Playoffs, it gets better. March Madness is sweet, but I mean, it's very tough for me to watch regular season NBA and regular season college hoops. I'd rather do NASCAR, MLB, or NHL. But obviously NFL and college football are king. I think the Hawks are going to rebound, obviously from that tough loss with the Ravens. They're going to get the dub. And like I said, I think your run stuffing will be good, and they can't run the ball that well, so I think you're going to win the game. And it'll get the Seahawk fans on a more positive note, get the bad taste out of your mouth with that Raven loss, and then get back to business with the 12s at home. And then people can start, because I still think the Hawks are a top 4 team in the NFC. But again, a lot of haters are going to be like, oh, you guys got destroyed by the Ravens. Well, so did the Lions on the road too. Most teams going to Baltimore are going to lose. So, the Ravens actually look like one of the best teams in football, like with the Jags. They have really good balance in the AFC. Like right now, the Ravens and Jags look like they can beat anybody. The Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs. It's like we have to see what this balance is going to look like. And then the Eagles are the best team in football, and they have balance. And I like what they're doing there. Niners usually have balance, but have been looking shaky. Hawks have had usually a pretty good balance this year, but in that Ravens game looked a little shaky, and they went away from Kenneth Walker. And that's really the key. The more that the Lions go to Montgomery, since he's back from injury, and the more the Hawks go to Kenneth Walker, the more games you're going to win. The moment that you guys go away from the running game, that's when you lose. And that's pretty much the same for most, teams. Once you start going away from your stud running back, if you have one, that's when the teams know what you're going to do. They know you're not running the ball anymore. Then they bring 8 in the box, and then it forces bad throws, from either Goff or Geno, and then the game starts getting out of hand. So I feel that as long as you guys stay true to who you are, Geno will be able to make the right plays. But again, it all depends on if it's at home or on the road. And just like any team, the Hawks are amazing at home, but they continue to struggle on the road. And that's kind of been their MO. When they play a good team on the road, or even a team that's above average on the road, it's sometimes a little difficult for Seattle to get the dub, just like when they played the Bengals and the Ravens. But still, with that being said, I still think they're one of the top 4 teams in the NFC, and I think they can do some damage in the playoffs this year. First down, Panthers. Foreman, yeah. But you're going to get the dub. I mean, it is a trap game because Washington does have the ability to beat you. You know, they have Sam Howell. They have, Antonio Gibson. You know, they have Brian Robinson, right? You know, they got Scary Terry McLaurin. You know, they got Logan at tight end. You know, it's like they got so many weapons. Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. I mean, there's a reason why Sam Howell is the number 6 fantasy quarterback in 2023. He can throw the ball. And they got rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So that's going to be better for the Hawks. So you're going to be able to run the ball and do a little bit more because their D-line isn't as good. Washington's defense is suspect, but their offense is pretty killer. And then your run stuffing has been good this year. We just need to get the secondary to step up. So whoever does better between the receivers on Washington and the secondary on the Hawks, and obviously the O-line, D-line, the battle up front, that's going to determine the winner at the game. Who's going to outplay? Is it Geno or Sam Howell? So, and obviously Sam is going to be forced to throw late because they're probably going to be behind. So that'll help in fantasy stats. But as far as getting the dub, incomplete. What happened to my hands? Is he hurt? Hayden Hurst got popped on 3rd down and 3. Concussion dog. But I have the Hawks winning, but I think it is a trap game. But again, remember, no Chase Young, no Montez Sweat. They did have 4 beast defensive linemen. Now they only have 2. So, and they're very suspect in their secondary linebackers. So there should, as long as you pound the rock with Walker and Charbonnet, go to Bobo, DK, Lockett, and you guys play Hawk football, there's a chance that you guys blow them out. Or if you win barely, you should still win by 3-10. So I think I would be shocked if the Hawks lose. They're going to be angry and motivated after that ass whooping against fucking Lamar in Baltimore. They need to get back to playing Hawk football and getting people to start believing again. And I never fell off. I already, it's like when the Niners lost 3 straight. Do I think the Niners are garbage? No. They had some injuries. They haven't had Debo, Trent Williams. They've had guys that have been banged up. Brock Purdy has made some mistakes. It's a long NFL season. Could the Niners recover and make the NFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl? Yes, it's still possible, but it's definitely up for grabs in the NFC. Eagles are the best, right? And then you got Eagles, you got Niners, Seahawks, Lions, Cowboys, but you already know the Cowboys will make the first round and lose, and the Saints. I actually think the Saints are better than the Cowboys. So the Cowboys will be the worst team that makes the playoffs, even if they hit 10 or 11 wins, but they just won't win the game. I think the Hawks and the Saints are better than the Cowboys. Write that down. Big facts. 16-13. Bears. The Bears. All right, Panthers. Show me something. Tremble. You won 1. You're probably not going to win the second one, especially if Stafford isn't healthy. You got Carson Wentz at quarterback. Good luck. But you did get him the first time around, but you're not going to get him the second time around. Nice try, Rams. I mean, it is still a trap game, so there is a possibility that it could happen when you play the Cardinals, the Rams, or the Niners. Niners is expected to be a dogfight, but again, the trap game is always going to be against a team that's not as good as you, like the Rams and Cardinals, right? But at this point in the season, being at home, it would have to take a miracle performance, like 160 yards and 3 tutties from Puka for something like that to happen, and I don't see that happening. You got him once, but you're not going to get him twice. But anytime you play the Cardinals as a Seahawks fan or the Rams, it is the trap game. You can kind of tell the trap games, just like same thing with Washington. Washington can be a team that wins a couple games, but when they play the Cowboys and the Eagles, they're afraid because they know what could possibly happen. So, this matchup is at home. But if it's Carson Wentz in, even if you're at home, that's going to be tough. Oh, yeah, first game was in Seattle when you won. That is right. I remember that. But we will see. Plus, if you're a Rams fan, LA Rams, why would you want to win? You want to lose to be able to get a better draft pick moving forward. Winning games at this point where your team is at is going to do you worse and not do you better. Because the more games you win, right, the lower you are going in the draft order, right? The more games you lose, the higher you get and the better player you potentially can get. So one step backwards to go 10 steps forward.
So you'll have an emergency pizza. A free pizza when you eat it first. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like me being a Buccaneer fan, bro. I don't want to win games. I started off 3-1, and I thought, fuck, I'm going to have to go to the playoffs by default. I want Michael Penix Jr., Shedeur Sanders, Bo Nix, Drake May, Quinn Ewers, Caleb Williams. I need a quarterback. So when I started off 3-1, I was like, God damn it. But now we've gone on like a 3 or 4 game skid, and this is exactly what I wanted. Sometimes it's better to lose, to grab pieces, and then that way you go one step backwards. But if you get the right guys, then you can go 10 steps forward for the next 5 to 10 years. Like, what would I want? Baker Mayfield for the next 5 years or Michael Penix Jr. or Caleb Williams? I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, one team's going to the playoffs and the other is not. So, and remember, you have Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz ain't owning anything. Only thing Carson Wentz owns is a fishing pole and a gun to go hunting. Okay, you don't own anything else. All right, good game. 16-13, baby. 4th down and 2. Keep it going. Shotgun set. Bryce, right there. Move the chains. There we go. But the funny thing is, right? Carson Wentz wouldn't be able to do shit anywhere in the NFL. But if he's with Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, he could probably get something out of those guys rather than the other coaches getting nothing. So I will give Sean McVay that. You know, he is a very brilliant man. Same thing with Kyle Shanahan. So. Let's see if the Panthers can keep it moving. The real question is where's Justin Fields going to go after they trade him? And then if they do trade him, what quarterback do they get? Or do they get a pick for Justin Fields, and then they get like a Drake May with that pick, and then they end up picking offensive lineman and wide receiver, or offensive lineman and wherever they decide to go. Very interested to see what direction the Bears go. Like if I'm the Bears, I probably would go the best offensive lineman. And then if I'm going to, if it was me, I would go best offensive lineman. And if there was a linebacker that was good enough, then I probably would go that route. Or if they had like a pass rusher that was like a Max Crosby, but I'm not sure if there's going to be anyone on that level that they would go for. So if you go Maserati Marvin Harrison, at like 3, best offensive lineman at 2, trade Justin Fields, and then get a quarterback like Michael Penix Jr. with that pick, then you got something cooking with the Bears. If you can get all of that to happen, best offensive lineman, best wide receiver, and then trade Justin Fields and then swap for a draft quarterback, then the Bears would be, I'd be very intrigued and interested to see where they go. Drake May on the Bears, Michael Penix Jr. on the Bears, Caleb on the Bears. That would be interesting. But again, if they only go Caleb and Maserati Marv, they're still going to be having problems because the offensive line needs help as well as the defense. So it's like, yeah, you can go from Caleb to Justin Fields to Caleb, and you can have another receiver out there with DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, but that isn't going to make the team a playoff team. They need offensive line and defense more. So I don't know if the Bears are smart enough to realize that. I hope they are. But we are talking about the Chicago Bears. Bring back Rex Grossman. 3rd down and 10. Shotgun set. Bryce. Almost picked.
Sandor was there, had an opportunity. Slow was deflected. Hanging in the air for another instant or so.
What happened to my hands? I'll give you this. Stafford at the beginning of the year looked a hell of a lot better than I thought he would. And he turned Puka into a superstar. Tutu looked good. Kyron getting injured didn't help you guys either. 4th down and 10. Pinheiro. Kick is up. No good. Damn it. Dang.
Because even if you don't get the first down, you'd love to get 5 yards, right? You'd love to get 6 yards, and you come up short, you got at least a better chance at the field goal. It's a good call. Bryce Young just, and he saw a point to himself. I misread that. That's on me. He'll take it. But yeah, you take the shot there, and I don't know that he's got the distance to be able to make that 59. He did not. So from the 49 now.
Well, okay, so based off, we know that the Cardinals had the number 1 pick, and then the Bears were sitting at 2 and 3. What is the draft status for the Panthers, Finley, based off like today and where they're sitting? Like as far as like 1st round, 2nd round picks, where are you positioned in the draft right now? Like how many picks are you guys going to have within the first 2 rounds? And do you know what number pick you would be since you gave away the pick to move up and get Bryce? Like, what is your pick in the 1st round in the top 10?
I don't think it affects him. It's the first time in his career, high school, pro, that he's had to handle it and deal with it. I'm sure he's not on social media, but it's the noise is going to get even louder. It's part of the process. It's part of him growing. He has to go through this. It's not easy.
Yeah, I just call it how I see it, man. Like I said, sometimes, for certain favorite, teams of fans, I'll be, letting you know, I think you're going to win. And there'll be other matchups where I know you're going to lose, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like if I feel someone's going to get blown out, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, well, Seahawks will only lose by 3 to the Ravens. I knew that shit was going to be ugly because if the Lions had problems and they're just as good as the Seahawks, it's just like the way that Lamar has been playing this year, MVP, he hasn't played like an MVP since his MVP year. And it's been a lot because of the number 1 defense. And they actually are going to Mark Andrews heavy. So, if you end up having that, I mean, hell, Lamar has even surpassed Josh Allen at quarterback. Lamar, to me, is a top 4 quarterback now. So it's like, even though Mahomes is typically up there, right now, I think as far as quarterback play that I trust, you could argue like Jalen Hurts. Right now, Jalen Hurts is like the most reliable, right? But after Jalen, who would you say is the most reliable quarterback? Like Burrow, Lamar, it's like you got a couple guys up there that I'm excited to see how it plays out. It'd be cool to see Lamar actually make it to the AFC Championship game. Like if they can't get to the Super Bowl yet, fine. But I think he deserves to have his moment. Da Bears. I know the Bears will get the Panthers pick, but like, where are their picks in the 1st round? Did the Panthers have 0 picks in the 1st round because of that trade? And where are they at in the 2nd round? Like, how many picks do the Panthers have in the first 2 rounds? Well, but the thing is, you have to be shitty for them to make changes. If the Panthers ended up winning 5, 6, 7 games, then maybe they don't fire Reich. Maybe they don't get the right pieces, right? Megan had to do the Google search. She's like, oh, I got to do it. 27, 25, and 0. FYI, google.com. Take that. He says, I'm going to look this shit up. He said, you want to say you own me, and we own you. I'll look it up. Google, Bing, Yahoo. It's a good rivalry. And hopefully it'll be good one day where we get all 4 teams that are good. Cardinals, Rams, Hawks, and Niners instead of just the Hawks and Niners every year. Then it'll be more exciting with you and your family member, Megan. That's the Cardinal fan. Foreman, false start.
Foreman, the only thing he's done wrong tonight, 21 carries, 80 yards, but 2 more for 12. And 83 yards last week.
She says, I believe Google.com and Bing and Yahoo. More reliable, she says. All right, Bears. Final score, the Bears 16, Panthers 13. Bro, you just got to keep going, bro. You got to go through the bad before you get to the good. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I was a Bucks fan, Blazer fan, Mariner fan. You know how terrible it is, to lose and lose and lose. Like, at least you guys have been able to, go to a Super Bowl with Cam Newton. You were able to go to a Super Bowl with Jake Delhomme. You're going to go through good moments and bad moments, but that's what makes it much sweeter when you see the terrible and the worst of the worst, and then you have to be able to live through that and then get the progression to get better and better and better and go through the journey. It's not going to all be peaches and cream, bro. Sometimes you got to go through the bad to get to the good, and you have to understand how good you had it and how bad things are now and knowing where you're going to be improving. So keep watching, bro. If I can watch the Bucks and the fucking Mariners and the Blazers and for like 10 or 12 years straight, knowing that they're dog shit and the seasons are over within the first month of the season, and I still watch, if I can do it, you can do it. Okay? You can do it, brother, because I'll still be watching. Don't make me update your team instead of you. I'm like, this is what happened in the Panther game that I watched. Final score, Bears 16, Panthers 13. All right, what do we want to do for photos here for like the last 8 minutes or so? I need to go eat dinner. I got to take Paisley on another 45-minute walk. It's been really foggy and cold lately, but I'm just getting in the good exercise and whatnot. If you guys are looking for old school things, my favorite cartoons in the 80s are Transformers, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, Yo Joe, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My favorite cartoons in the 90s when I was 10 to 12, right before I started transitioning into like, girls and like basketball and other things, right? My favorite 2, X-Men, right? And then Batman, the animated series. I have been looking for Batman, the animated series for like 10 years. I just found it on Prime. And they have 3 seasons, 3 seasons, 92, 93, and 94. And I started binge watching it yesterday. It is the best thing ever. Catwoman, fucking the Joker. It is so good. It is exactly what I remember. And I don't remember any of the episodes barely. So that's what I'm on right now. I already finished Dexter, and I was going to start Sopranos or Sons of Anarchy or redoing Breaking Bad. I was thinking maybe Game of Thrones. I was like, where am I going to go? And then all of a sudden I saw it. I was like, oh my God, no way. There's nothing like watching something from your childhood that you haven't seen in like 30 years. You put that on. I mean, you have no idea the smile on my face, and I have to binge. So it's not like I'm watching one Batman animated series from 1992 episode. I'm probably watching like 5 or until I fall asleep or whatever. So good, man. So good. So deaf. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's gonna, like anyone that's a bandwagon fan, Finley, you know what I mean? That they're not gonna understand. They're just hopping from good team to good team. But when the Panthers actually get good, right, and they make the NFC Championship game, or at least win like 10 games with a wild card for Bryce, then you're gonna go back and look back and be like, golly, remember when Bryce had his rookie year and how dog shit we were? You know what I mean? And then now, like 3 years later or whatever it is, now we're 10-7, second place in the NFC South. God, it feels good to see like where we were and where we're at now. And then also having the memory of like what it took to get to the Super Bowl with Jake Delhomme, Mushim Muhammad, Steve Smith, as well as Cam Newton, right? You know what it takes. So it's like if you know your team doesn't have that depth, then you're not even close. So you have to be able to have those memories of when the team was really, really good and where you're at now, and to go through the progressions. It's like you can't climb Everest and just run up the fucking mountain. Sometimes you gotta crawl before you walk, right? Walk before you run. And if I can watch dog shit Mariners not make the playoffs for 20 years, right, knowing that they have no chance, watching the Blazers suck ass every year except that year they overachieved with the best bench in the NBA, and we made the Western Finals and got swept by the fucking Warriors and Steph Curry a couple years ago. And then the Bucks are dog shit for 10, 12 years until I got Brady, Gronk, Bruce Arians, and fly like a butterfly, sting like A, B, okay? I've gone through it. If anyone's gone through misery in their teams, I mean, shit, the only thing I've been able to get excited about in the last 10 or 20 years really is the Oregon Ducks. Other than that, it's not been a whole lot. So, and then obviously Tampa as of late, and then the Mariners finally got good. So, big facts.
That tells you a lot about Luke Getz and what he thinks about this kid.
Bro, when I started watching the Oregon, like in the 80s and 90s, Matt, they were winning one game a year. 1 or 2 games before the Nike, before Phil Knight, before the money, before the recruits. It's like Rich Brooks. And then when we had Mike Bellotti, I started believing. I was like, Joey Harrington made me love Oregon football. And that's why he's like one of my favorite players of all time. I knew he wasn't going to pan out in the NFL, but he was the first quarterback that I connected with, like on like a soul level, that I was like, dude, I want to buy this guy's jersey. I played him in the video games on college football. Like, comeback fucking kid, dude. Joey Harrington, he always was Captain Comeback. I always knew that Oregon was going to be in it. And then after Joey Harrington, that's when we started getting really, really, really good with the recruiting. But out of the last, 20, 25 years, that 2001 Oregon Duck team arguably is the best team that Oregon's ever had. Like if you look at, we had Maurice Morris, NFL, Ontario Smith, NFL, Joey Harrington, NFL, Keenan Howry, wide receiver, NFL, Sammy Parker, NFL, George Reister and Tim Day, Justin Peele, NFL, defensive players, NFL. We had 4 guys in the secondary that win the NFL. You know what I mean? Like Walter Thurman III and Patrick Chung. Imagine a Duck defense with 2 corners and 2 safeties that all went to the NFL all at the same damn time. Think about how good you were too young, so you weren't watching, but tell me, trust me, dude. And then we had Mallard, Kevin Mitchell, and we also had Moretti. And 2 of those went to the NFL at linebacker. So it's like we literally had NFL players on every single level, and we had multiple. Like not just one defensive lineman, maybe 2 or 3. Not just one corner, but 4 secondary members. Not 3 linebackers, but 2. It's like it was crazy. One day we'll be good like that again. Maybe when we get Chip back. That's my guy right there. So I got a headache. I'm still dropping in. Effort dog. Your boy's got Taysom Hill, Elliot. I'm gonna run with him like the rest of the year because I believe in you guys and I believe in him. And you're even doing the the little things that I say and then you actually act on them and whatnot. I appreciate that because, like I said, I feel a lot of the stuff that me and Sarah sometimes say, it goes in one ear out the other, but certain people actually get it. Like, oh yeah, maybe if I do this, it'll help. Maybe it'll get some other people besides like Mick and some of your followers that maybe we can get a new follower off just like a share. Little things like that I appreciate. I saw a post about Frank Ocean today. He got a new album dropping, Double E, a little Frank Ocean. He was holding like some kind of like a mannequin troll little elf thing in the thing that there was like some kind of snippet for his like new video and like new album coming out. All right, let's get a couple photos up here before I go. I got the Kraken on. All right, I got the Kraken game on. Third period, 10 minutes, 3-2 Kraken, baby. I know. And that's why, when you have friends and you actually listen to what they say and you retain that information, that's what creates bonds. Instead of people just fucking saying shit that they like and then people are like, I don't give a shit, which may happen on other channels or other friends or other people. But if you actually take the time to get to know people and retain that information, even though it's a lot of people that I have to get to know, but there's a few of y'all that are definitely special to me and, and just being able to keep up with that type of stuff. I can live vicariously through the things that you guys like also. I'll throw up a Frank Ocean here for you and a hack for Megan. Still got to exercise, get my walk on. Done 2 40, 45-minute walks. I got one more to do. Let me know what you guys want to see for photos. Just drop whatever you guys want. I got you. Yeah, but it also depends on how old each person is. Typically, if I have someone in the room, whether I know them or not, usually if I see certain troll behavior, typically it's 20 years old and younger. A lot of times it's 15 years and younger. Every once in a while, you'll get someone that's just older that just wants to be that way. But you have to understand most of the time, if you end up having someone playing around, it's going to be someone that is typically younger. Yeah, you're not going to have too many trolls that are old unless you're, I guess, extremely lonely and bored with your life. Like that's the best thing that you got going on in your life. If you're like, 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75 years old. Well, I could be doing this, reading a book or spending time with family or a dog. Nah, I'll just go on this YouTube channel and fucking troll some people, which some people do. I guess if that's their form of entertainment. It's like, what you doing trolling people at 45 years old? He's like, that's my hobby. I'm a troll. I'm a professional troll, he says. That's what we get. Trolling all day, every day. Yeah, but also too, at the end of the day, if someone is trolling, they don't care if they're right or they're wrong. They're just trying to get you mad and piss off and like get a reaction out of you. So I mean, you can't have a bunch of 10 or 12-year-olds work you up, A lot of times too, you can also tell like based how old people are on how they type. Like you can't see their face, you can't hear their voice, but a lot of times you can tell based off pronunciation, enunciation, the punctuation, the slang, the way they type. If they use periods, abbreviations, nicknames. You sometimes can figure out how old someone is. Based on how they type. Trolls for days, and we'll get more and more here on this channel. You already know that. We're not even in troll mode yet. I mean, you can't really troll me compared to a lot of the other channels. There's a lot of channels that don't read or don't do film study or just they're just entertaining. They don't really know anything. But they know better to come in here. Because either A, they'll get obliterated, right, like this, obliterated, or they're going to get Hollywood Hogan boot. They'll get 1 or 2 comments in, and then that'll be it. And then they'll have to create a whole nother profile. It's not just a timeout. There's like, oh shit, I have to make sure I get this in here. Yeah, that's why I asked you about the Frank Ocean, because I saw the little thing about it. He's like holding the like troll doll, elf doll, or whatever mannequin thing. I figured you had the 411 on all that shit. Swag. I like that shirt too. Instant karma. Big facts. Hate us, hate us, hate us, hate us, hate us. Yeah. Shit. There goes Colorado. Tied it up. Damn it. Golly, can Seattle just please hang on to a lead for just once where we can just like actually hang on? Oh, Lee. If this goes to OT and the penalty shots again, I don't know. Oh, man. Hopefully we can win in regulation. Yeah. What does he do for hobbies? That based on what you've read or what information he's given to the public, what does he do when he's not making music? Or does no one know? Because it's just like he pops up out of nowhere and like you don't really know if he's ever going to make anything. Like there's always like rumors and stuff, but it's like secretive artist. It's like Dr. Dre's like been working on the sequel to Chronic 2001 since 2001. Like, are we getting it or not? Swag, swag, swag. So do you? I mean, are you surprised that we put up 3 goals on him? That it's 3-3? Oh, fight! We got to fight! Beat his ass! Oh, take him down! Oh, and then the ref broke it up when he was beating his ass. Boo! Oh, that would do it. That's why he hasn't come out with the music. Too much pain. Too much pain. That tells you right there. Yeah, that was nice gloves thrown. I wish the ref didn't break it up. I'm not saying I like to see one guy on top of another guy and smashing his head into the ice, and then blood goes everywhere or whatever. But hockey is violent, and if you're going to cheap shot someone or if you're going to fight, or you got to be able to square up. You got to take a punch. You got to give one. You just can't be able to be a guy that's. Let's see how it starts here. Oh, got him right into the wall. He didn't like it. So Seattle initiated it, but hey, we're going to go after it. And then and then it was another guy, another player stepped up, not the guy that he checked into the wall with his ass, right? It was another guy that saw it, didn't like it. He's like, "You hurt my friend," and then came up and tried to fight him and punch him. He's like, "All right, I'll fucking smack you around too." It's a smack potty. All right, let's go through some photos here one last time. I got to exercise and spend some time with Paisley Pup, and I got to do some more reading. Read. Film study, read. And more. Megan against the Trolls, undefeated. Google, Yahoo, Bing, undefeated. Information at your fingertips. Or it's in our brains here in the channel. I mean, if you're not going to find it on Google, Bing, Yahoo, if you don't want, you'll be able to get it more than likely here. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Ocean, baby. Some of these I've never even put on here before. Special. Like I've thrown up this one before, but I've never thrown up this one. Instant Karma or these ones. I was hanging on to these ones for Elliot. Double E, my boy Pat. That's my favorite one right there. E. All right, let's see if the Kraken can hold on. I love you guys and I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all the people that came in and commented, shared, donated, everything. I love you guys and appreciate you guys. Shout out to Cyberpunk and everyone else that supported Reflect You the Man. Sarah, Elliot, even though he doesn't feel good, I came in here, gave him some Frank Ocean. Now he feels a little bit better. Megan, undefeated against the Trolls. Hawks going to beat Washington this weekend at home, go 12s. And hopefully the Kraken here win today. I'll be back live tomorrow. I haven't really decided what I want to do. It's either going to be hockey, but there's no Kraken, or NBA. So maybe it'll be NBA, NHL, or we'll take the night off. And then obviously when we get into Saturday, it's going to be USC and the Ducks at 7:30. And maybe I'll do another game in the morning, possibly. I don't know. Maybe we'll do two college matchups. Michigan, Penn State is on at 9 a.m., but I don't know if I would get enough people to show up. But Utah and Washington are going at it at 12:30. So maybe we'll take tomorrow off, and then I'll do Utah, Washington, and then do Oregon and USC possibly. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I will post tomorrow, and we'll figure out what we end up doing. So you guys are the best. So I guess, Sarah, for tomorrow, for now, we'll still be recording. But maybe if I don't want to do NBA or NHL, maybe we'll take the day off and I'll do two on Saturday and then reaction videos and then Sunday Night Football. So I love you guys and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Cyberpunk, you're an OG. Love you. Appreciate you. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Final score 16-13. The Bears. And I'm out. Gang.